was
Hello.
muted. Hello, can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Hi,
How's it
I'm
going?
so sorry. I'm good. I'm very bad with technology. So no matter how many times I do these Zooms, something's always awry.
we got it working, right?
And that's why I'm vertical. I'm on my iPad,
That's
which
totally cool.
this.
All right.
Hello.
Hello. I'm getting, oh, there we go. Okay. I still had the audio test thing where like you can test your audio and it records you in Zoom and plays it back. So I thought I was getting a delay on my own voice, but I'm good.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah. It was kind of like, what is happening? It's different every time, I feel like, too. So you can hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Perfect. Awesome. So how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah?
It always that I feel like the week coming out of a holiday weekend, like it's
Yeah.
already weird.
It is.
But now it's like doubly weird. I don't know. This morning I read like scary information about the Delta variant.
Yeah.
And
Super fun.
I don't know. Today's like odd in that way.
Yeah. My wife just read me a thing that said from yesterday, keep in mind, if you go to these big get-togethers that 33% of people aren't vaccinated. So just a heads up.
I'm glad I didn't end up going
Yeah.
too big with the celebrating this year. But I think that made it even more weird today. Like today I was kind of
I feel normal.
I don't know. It's so weird. I feel like every time I answer like how I am right now, I'm like, I don't know.
Good.
I don't
considering.
know. Good considering. Yes. Yes.
Oh man, that's crazy. Well, thank you for joining me. This is great. I'm glad that I reached out to you on Twitter, and we're basically pen pals by now, right? So.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for being flexible with when we actually recorded
this. Of course,
this.
Yeah, of course. No, I try to work with everyone's schedule, so I can make whatever work. And I'm just glad you were able to join me when we got to be together. So very cool.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So basically, kind of, I'm just going to let you know kind of what I have planned. I'll do a little intro of you. Then I've got some kind of just standard questions, and I got some rapid fire questions, and then some of the James Lipton Inside the Actors Studio questions, if you want to do that.
Okay.
I'm sure you're familiar with when Will Ferrell used to do James Lipton on SNL, and so.
Yeah.
So he asks all these questions that are kind of his go-to questions. So yeah, if you're down, that's cool. If not, we can figure it out as we go. So
sure.
I'm drinking, so just a heads up, I'm not going to drink too much.
No, drink as much as you want. That actually would probably help me. I get weird. I get like, it's not weird. I get social anxiety with this sort of thing. So if I know you're like loosened up, that'll make me feel like I'm loosened up.
So if you wanted to, you could go grab yourself a drink if you have something, if you want to feel like more like that club, like the drinking on the podcast club. If not, totally cool. It's up to you.
I'm more of a cannabis person. If you don't mind me being
that too.
Little...
Yeah. Even better.
I might as well. If you're drinking, I might as well take the edge off too.
Yeah, right.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me read.
Sure thing. This is great. We are live with Marissa. So you happen to be in a state where it's legal. Lucky.
Wait, did you say legal state? I think I read your lips.
Yeah. Oh, you sure did. Yes, you happen to be in a state where it's legal. So yeah. So where in California? Where in California do you live? Like what's area/neighborhood?
So I kind of split time between two parts, like the northeast section, Los Feliz, and then Redondo Beach.
Oh, okay.
And currently I'm down in the nice South Bay area right now.
Nice. Very cool.
Which, like right now, the weather in LA general is, I don't know why the word volatile is just coming to mind, but it's very heat wave one day, then like epic fog lately. But every
it's
so
not
often,
it's not the smog, it's the fog.
It's probably honestly
or both,
a mixture of things. I don't think Mother Nature right now is too happy overall.
Just in general.
Just like in general.
Right.
But every so often, like my family is in the South Bay, so I'm I'm very, very thankful that I mean, one, that they're within arm's reach if I want to go visit, but also there are stretches of time in 𝗁𝗁𝗶𝗀𝗃 where it's hot, very hot. And like, we're at the point at my apartment where it's just like, we have ACs going and everything, but their ACs are loud. They're not great. Like, they're not great to run that often. Mine is portable, so it's like loud. It's loud. Those portable ACs are loud. Just
you tote it around whichever room you need it in, kind of thing.
At this point, we have like one in like each room. It's, I don't know when the last time you experienced like a LA heat wave is. I don't know how heat waves are honestly across like America, but in LA, this kind of heat, it's like a dry heat. And I don't know. I have spent.
It's been a little while. My brother lives in LA. My brother used to live in 𝗁𝗁𝗶𝗀𝗃. He lives in he's in Burbank now. So he lived in 𝗁𝗁𝗶𝗃 for 8 years or so, and he's been in Burbank for quite a while too. So yeah, so I'm familiar, but I haven't been there when it's like been super, super hot. Like I live in Fargo, North Dakota, and it's 90 degrees today, but it's like a humid. Oh my God. It's humid, so it's like, are we in Florida or in Fargo, North Dakota? You know. It's like, I
will say I am glad it's not humid based, because I feel like I need to retract what I said. LA's heat waves don't compare with places that have humidity. Like that's a no brainer.
It's brutal.
But
like
it's hard.
So what's
like, the South Bay, just it's near the beach. It's just it's cooler overall.
Yeah, for sure. That's nice. So what's the temperature right now where you at?
Not sure. Let me check. I feel like it's in the 70s. Yeah, it's a sunny 70 degrees, which is that's great.
Typical LA. Yeah.
It's typical for the South Bay, although I will say there have been times, and my family is they're like 2-ish miles from the beach, maybe a little more, which is like, I don't know if I'm as pale in your square as I am in my little square, right? But like,
you're well lit. You're well lit.
It's funny because like I was like, okay, this will be a good spot where I usually do like self tapes and whatnot. And I'm looking in this square and I'm like looking at your face versus mine. I'm like, I'm saying my parents live in a beach town and I look like Casper.
Hey, but you'll have better skin. You'll have better skin when you're older. That's all I'm saying. Me, I'm just I'm in our little office at home. I work out of my office at home, and like the air conditioning, our house was built in the 50s. And so we have air conditioning, we have a vent in here, but like it doesn't push much out. So I'm just really warm. I don't have any tan at all. Like when I wear shorts, it's embarrassing because it's like my legs are just bright white. So I'm an indoor kid most of the time.
I mean, now, especially with the pandemic, I'm indoors.
Yeah, for the past year and a half.
It is kind of funny for me because like I'm a very pale person by nature. However, my mom is a super olive tone, dark, like tan person. And then my dad's a redhead, but he is also very tan. And I have it in my skin to be very tan.
Right.
And usually what happens is I'll get some kind of farmer's tan. And I'm like,
always.
Okay, I do. But that's gone now. I'm a full slate. Like,
you have an indoor tan from the lights. Oh my gosh.
I went to the dermatologist this past week, which is something that I've like spent so much time doing lately, is catching up on every appointment.
All the appointments. Yep.
And I was this was the first dermatologist appointment I've ever had that he not once like lectured me about sun, because I think it was that obvious that I actively avoided at all costs.
Oh man, he knows what he's doing.
It was like
That's
funny.
So funny. That's hilarious.
I even let him know, but on the way out I was like, and don't worry, this summer I don't plan on getting like any sun. He did not look worried at all.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I know, I can tell. It's fine. Awesome. Well, that concludes weather talk, I guess. That was fun. Comparing weather. Yeah, for sure.
It's on a little bit. Is this like really loud in the the audio? Like, can you hear it?
Yeah, it sounds good. No, it sounds good on my end.
Cool. Because I think I might leave this on for a little bit. I will say that something about weather talk a little more.
Yeah, I can't hear anything else. So.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Something about the South Bay that kind of sucks, though, is unless a house was built in the, like, I think within the last 10 years, there is no AC in the South Bay.
Oh, wow.
0, 0, 0. So like, it's 70 degrees today, but I'm on the second like floor right now. And like, it's so warm. Like, this is the time that I'd be like, okay, this would be nice to have AC. So if you see me like sweating, I'm sorry.
And heat rises. Heat finds a way to rise too. Whew.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's pretty painless for you as far as the heat goes. You know, just know
I'll be fine. Just
I'm here in solidarity
to you. And I'm gonna be like, whoa, suddenly after I said it was 70 degrees, but I think it's more probably like 80 where I'm in this room.
Yep. And I'm drinking, so I'm getting warmer too. So we'll both be sweating it out. It's totally
fantastic.
Cool.
I forgot you're drinking.
It's a party. Yeah, I got a little jacket, Coke.
Drinking?
Jack and Coke, real basic. I'm a basic boy right now.
Drinking though, like you're having a full-on cocktail.
Well, let me be clear.
I don't know why I thought it was wine. This is called On the Rocks. I shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, clinky, right? It's Gentleman Jack on the Rocks, so I'm being a gentleman. It's a little bit better than regular. It was the last of the bottle though, so it's not really very strong. It's kind of weak, so I don't know.
I don't think I ever knew. Is that like a thing that the bottom of a?
No.
If it is, I literally never knew that till just now.
Oh no, sorry. I should clarify. There wasn't enough for like a full kind of pour of liquor in there.
Got it.
The end of the bottle.
The end of it.
Yeah. I should have drank it last time. To be clear, I should have drank the rest of that last time. I thought that might be enough.
It's like a little squeeze.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted. I have other bottles of other whiskeys too, so it's not I'm not threat level midnight here. So.
Okay.
So pre-chat, that's always fun. I like that stuff. We can use some of that too. The weather talk, that's good. The drinking talk. It's
so funny because we haven't even gotten to the AP Bio stuff yet, but like even though like I'm in a legal state and like everything, and I know I'm fully of age, it's so weird to me to like to say it when I know I'm being recorded, especially given like I don't know.
I can take that part out if you want. I can totally take that part out.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. This
if you let me know.
Honestly a big part of who I am, especially.
Well, that's cool. We're getting the real you.
This is the real me.
That's awesome. Well, good. I'm glad the real me. The real you, has joined me on the podcast. So that's cool.
Perfect.
All right.
And I'm meeting the real you, drinking.
The real me, just having a beverage on a Monday. It doesn't matter what day it is, right?
Especially now. Every day is fair game.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day blends into the next, that type of thing. So,
it really does.
Well, okay. So I'm going to run this little intro by you and see if there's anything you want me to add to it. Welcome to On the Rocks podcast. I'm your host, Nate Callens. Joining me today is Marisa Baram. She is an American actress known for her roles in Henry Danger, How to Get Away with Murder, Awkward, Real Husbands of Hollywood, and her biggest role in How I Know Her as Marissa, with 2 S's on AP Bio, which airs on Peacock. So go out and stream that. It was on NBC, and then Peacock got moved to Peacock. So same family. It's a hilarious and heartwarming show. I love it. My wife loves it. Everyone I know loves the show. Marissa, thank you so much for joining the show today. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. And what an intro that was. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You deserve it. You deserve it. I mean, why not?
Thank you. Thank you.
We pulled out all the stops for that intro for you.
I felt very red carpet.
Yes. It's glitzy and glamorous. So yeah, that works. So I reached out to you on Twitter and you reached back to me. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. I feel like we're pretty much pen pals by now. I mean, a lot of back and forth messages, talking about our weekends, stuff like that. Just, normal stuff. We talked about the weather. That was earlier today before we started actually recording though. But yeah, so very cool. I appreciate it. You are our 3rd cast member from AP Bio on the show. It's totally awesome. And I feel like the 3rd time's going to be a charm with this too. So welcome.
Whitlock pride.
Whitlock.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for your patience on Twitter. Because
it's cool.
So bad at social media.
No, you're busy.
I try so hard. But sometimes I am just, I haven't even approached TikTok really yet. I don't even have it yet.
Yeah, like what is that all about anyway? I mean,
that's
really.
how I know. That's how I know that like the social media world, I'm like so leagues behind.
Yeah, me too.
I see it when it trickles to like Instagram and stuff. But social media. I'm just,
if it spills over to that.
Not great at it.
Well, I think you're doing well on Twitter and Instagram. I mean, unless you're posting like dancing videos, like why are you on TikTok or like fake pranks stuff? I feel like that's the two main things I see is like people playing pranks on people that are clearly fake, and then people dancing. So if you're not doing either of those things, I mean, I know you're a dancer. You're like a hip hop dancer, right?
Yeah, it's so funny you said that because like, I don't know, this is probably 2 months ago at this point, but I almost taped myself doing like a viral TikTok dance that trickled to Instagram.
What?
I like learned it we had wrapped 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃 and I was like, oh, what do I do now?
Like, what's my next project?
I was like putting off all the appointments that I needed to like catch up on. And I was like, oh, that looks like a fun dance. And it was like the booty work challenge. And I got dangerously close to like, not only filming it, but like filming it with like this cool filter. But I realized like I don't really have the space to even film it if I wanted to. And then I realized I just don't even know if I'm ready for that leap yet into posting dances. But it's funny that you said that. Also funny because I just watched this episode of Dave with these Dave on FX.
Love that show.
Did you watch it?
Dear God, that show.
I really shouldn't. I got to be mindful of the spoilers.
Caught up.
This latest episode. Alert. Spoiler alert! If you watch Dave.
Oh, hold on a sec. I didn't watch this week's episode, but you can still talk about it. It's fine.
This is a mild teaser. I wouldn't say spoiler. Sure. This is a mild teaser.
Teaser alert.
They have some characters that are the very TikTok lane type of characers, and I won't say which of the things they do. That I'll keep that open. But they do one of the things that you talk about, and the show navigates it brilliantly. I love it, and those two TikTokers apparently happen to be with my manager. The whole reason, like, I'm remembering this moment so specifically, because I remember my manager on Instagram posted like these two people. I won't say the relation to each other.
Oh wow!
These two people, and I was like, watching the episode, and I was like, oh, cool. I might run into these people at the office.
That's amazing.
And they nail it. In the event that they listen to this, you guys nailed it. I don't know your names, but you nailed it.
We're gonna tag them regardless. we didn't talk about their names. We're gonna tag them when we post this episode.
I think I want to say one. I don't remember their names, but they nail it, and I'm sure you'll agree when you watch this episode.
Yes, I'm gonna have to watch it tonight.
Like, yes, Cassie. Also, fun fact for anybody listening to this, our casting director for AP Bio, Wendy O'Brien, also casts Dave.
Whoa.
So the link continues.
There's a family affair there.
Yeah, Wendy O'Brien, though, I think she nails the casting throughout Dave.
Yes.
So shout out to Wendy.
I recognize the name from the credits. Yeah. Both shows are so incredibly well cast. Like, just amazing. Like, all the students in AP Bio.
She didn't do the original casting though for AP Bio. I do have to
never mind. No.
limit her credit there. However, was it seasons? I think it was. I could be wrong, but I think it was starting season 2 and beyond.
Oh,
it switched over to Wendy.
Okay.
So everything in the last few seasons though, for AP Bio, absolutely nailed. I think done.
The cast,
actor.
The cast of both shows are just like top notch.
She's so good. And 𝗀𝗃𝗃's my favorite.
God, 𝗀𝗃 is so great.
I love him.
Andrew Santino, one of my favorite comedians, as their manager.
Which a few episodes ago, I don't know how long ago, there's a moment where he's like taking a selfie of himself, and I died.
Yes.
The moment's just so perfect. God.
We just watched that one the other day. So funny.
Hold up, there's a view. Like, perfect.
That's when he's out on the patio, right?
Yeah, he's like out on a patio. It looks like really nice and super LA.
It's Instagram worthy for sure. It's
so Instagrammable.
Yeah.
And it's the epitome of LA. I've had so many moments like that. I've seen so many
Oh,
moments like that.
Just watching people take them.
I have a friend that she used to be my roommate, and she at one point became one of the big Viners. Like she had like 1 million followers on Vine.
Wow.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I did a sketch with her at one point, and we went over to this other Viner's place in the hills that was like one of the nicest places I've ever seen.
Right.
And it was very tempting not to like Instagram the place, but it was like nice.
Isn't it insane? It's insane how they get famous from that. And like, that's the only way people know them. It's kind of like, how does that even happen? I have no idea. Honestly,
everybody that I know that does it though is not only brilliant, a lot of them have a comedy background, because a lot of those videos run on being relatable, and it's shares a lot, I think, in my opinion, just points with comedy. Improv comedy. But also it involves a very hefty deal of marketing and knowing who your audience is, your audience and your brand and all that yada yada yada.
It's very well calculated, for sure.
Very well calculated, but it's also, they are putting lots of time into this. It looks like something effortless and funny.
Casual.
It's anything but the sketch that I did with my friend involved a team of people.
Oh wow.
There was a team of people. And it's stuff that you don't really think too much about. I'm sure not everybody runs on a team of people, but some of these videos
any of these people with a huge following, I'm sure that they're all like that, you know.
Especially when brands come in and that part of it comes into play. You have someone that's editing it. You have someone that's filming it, sometimes with a really nice camera. Now the iPhones are like great.
You can't even tell.
Most of that, but
right. Damn. Well, I mean, if you ever want to get into it, I feel like you can do it, you know. With you, so
maybe someday. Maybe I'll have the energy someday. Now
maybe
I'm
that
like,
idea that you had will become a thing and be born into something. You never know. It could happen.
It could.
So you talked about comedy. I know you have a comedy background. Starting at the start though, like what was your childhood like? Tell me about your childhood and kind of what do you remember about your first acting gigs? What were you involved in as a kid? Family, like your family, were they totally into it, like the stage parents and things like that? Or
so comedy wise, I feel like I always loved comedy. My favorite movie is Happy Gilmore.
Nice.
That I think my childhood, I feel like was so, my dad owned a golf shop growing up.
Oh, wow.
So for more reasons than one, that became like my movie.
Caddyshack, Happy Gilmore.
But I love lowbrow, silly, like simple comedy so much. But in high school, this started before high school, but in high school I was in comedy sports.
Oh, nice.
And I grew up in LA. So we had such amazing coaches that would come work with our high school. And then I got to go to Comedy Sports LA. I got to go to UCB. I got to go
Love
to
UCB.
Just various like professional comedy houses when I was very young.
In high school. God.
In high school.
So cool.
And so I feel like in a lot of ways, I grew up with comedy and improv just kind of being absolutely my normal. And I wasn't even really thinking like, oh, I'm going to apply these someday. It was just a lot of fun. Especially comedy sports. There was a real community with comedy sports, not only with our high school, but other high schools around us too. So it was a really cool way to meet kids from other schools too. And what better way to meet people than like improving, like and also it was a lot of short form improv and games. Games, I don't know, it's just I thought a great way to
develop your skills and stuff too. So do you have any people from that era that are still working that you know of that have gone on to do impressive things like yourself?
Okay, a lot, but
Top 5.
I'm gonna have to be super vague with like I guess the age variance, because I feel like it's so under wraps how old I am.
I have no idea, and I don't want to ask. So
we can keep me mysterious. I like that for now.
I like it.
But Rachel Bloom.
Okay, nice.
Is probably one of the biggest ones. Who else? Okay, this is jumping several points, but it just came into my mind, so I'm going to say it. This is not from childhood, but improv comedy based that loops to AP Bio that I think is kind of funny. I took 𝗀𝗏𝗏 201 with Gene. I always mess up her last name, Gene 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃's
with a V.
husband. Brian Finkelstein.
Oh, wow.
And I did not realize they were married because different last names until I think our second rap party, I was at the rap party, absolutely not sober, and saw him and was like, oh my God, there's my 201 UCB teacher.
That's amazing.
So like the comedy world is very small. It's that small. I'm trying to think of who else I went to school with that went on to do like big things, but like after Rachel Bloom, my mind just like drew a full blank.
That's all right.
So we could keep it with Rachel Bloom.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great number 1.
She won a Golden Globe, and she's a superstar. Let's
deal.
Keep with Rachel.
Never heard of it. No.
Who else? I mean, I know there are others, but like, for some reason, that's the only one.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So I'm familiar more. Obviously know about comedy sports. I know Improv Olympic. My brother wrote there for a little while. And then UCB, Franklin. I've been to that one 4 or 5 times since when I visited my brother. Were you at the newer UCB or were you at the original Franklin one?
Both. Okay. I love the original one. The Sunset one is gone now, so that was very short-lived.
That's right. I did know that. That's crazy.
During the pandemic.
Did it really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is a bummer because it was very nice. However, for so many reasons, it was not my preferred location.
Didn't have the same vibe, probably. Or it was huge though, wasn't it? It was like a lot bigger.
It was a lot bigger for classes. It made sense. There was a lot of room. When I took UCB classes prior to the existence of the Sunset location, we would have class just scattered throughout LA. I had one that was at the Meta Theater on Melrose.
Nice.
Which, funny enough, I had done an improv show for when I don't know when this was, but I had done an improv gig there. I think it was during college at some point, but there was just various places in LA, and it was kind of cool because it felt very small. It felt like UCB was just still pretty small.
Yeah.
The Sunset location was this massive building, and each of the rooms did feel kind of sterile. It did feel a little weird.
Too new and weird.
It I don't know. It felt like class.
Okay. Like you're in
which
college
improv
classes.
class is class, but it felt a little bit more like college-y. But worse than that though, the stage itself, the sound got eaten up in that place. And I'm a loud person. That's something about AP Bio versus me, which you didn't ask me, but one of the things that I think is the biggest difference between me and my character, I'm a very loud person. On this show, I think I'm probably operating at like 10% volume. And it's actually really hard for me, but
I bet. That's one of my questions. How are you like your character? And you answered the how are you not like your character. So that kind of answers itself then.
A lot of I don't know, the Venn diagram, like similarities and whatnot. But vocally though, I'll get back to that in a second, but before the UCB thing, I would watch sometimes, I did my 301 graduation show there.
Oh, nice.
And me, even as a loud person who, even if I don't realize I'm projecting, unless I'm cognizant of like my sound, my voice carries. Even for me, I was like, I have to project.
Oh, damn.
Like I have to musical theater voice
Really?
project, which if you're doing long form improv,
which I am, no.
Which like, I mean, most people know when you're on stage to speak to the back of the house, but when you're in a classroom setting and it's like, you had previously performed at Franklin where if you projected at Franklin, it was like, damn, that person's being real loud because you're so kind of small. On top of it's a much smaller black box theater versus this was like,
which I love. I love that.
I love it too. That is where I feel like the most connected to, like, Comedy Sports LA felt a lot like that. We'd be in black box theaters just at various high schools. It just felt more improv-y.
Yeah, it has to be in a dumpy little area. I feel like it can't be in this new like college campus type of place.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a lot nicer. I will give credit where credit.
Yeah,
it was very nice there. It didn't last, and I spent half my time. Not half. I spent the majority of my training there at Franklin, and then a little bit at Sunset. But, actually didn't finish my training there.
Got booked on AP Bio.
I didn't do 401. That's actually basically what happened. I did what you're absolutely not supposed to do. And if you're listening to this, please don't do what I did in the event that like improv classes come back in full form.
Learn from your mistakes.
Learn from my mistakes. They give you a max of 2 years before you have to retake a class. And I somehow did that basically every step of the way.
Oh no.
And just don't do that. Don't do that.
See it through. But if you don't do it, you could end up on a show like AP Bio. I mean,
you
don't do it right.
I mean,
there's exceptions, right?
There are exceptions to every rule. Maybe do what I did and it could work out, but
it could.
Maybe don't, because
probably won't, but it might.
You won't finish something you wanted to finish.
Nice.
I did want to finish it. I did.
Right.
You know, LA is hard.
Yeah.
Pursuing acting in LA is very hard.
It takes a while. It's a
long while. And I was just thinking about this recently. The whole takes 10,000 hours to become a master.
Yep.
I like calculated how many days 10,000 hours is. It's actually not that long. It's 1.2 years. If you were not sleeping or doing anything else.
Doesn't that seem weird?
It seems extraordinarily weird because I've been pursuing acting for a very, 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 very long time, but I never really once thought I am a master.
I'm the master of this. I'm the master.
But now that I've like actually calculated it out, I'm thinking, like, I might be actually closer than I thought.
Probably, you probably are closer. Probably, maybe you already got it. Who knows?
Maybe. But
because you've done a lot of theater stuff too. In theater, I mean, rehearsals that counts too. You know.
I was doing theater all the way through college, and then and then I kind of just decided I really wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you did some great shows. I mean, with the list, Footloose, Little Shop of Horrors, Annie, Wizard of Oz, King Lear. Never heard of any of those. I mean, no, there's all just like big time. Cyrano de Bergerac, Three Penny Opera.
My entire childhood, it feels like, was spent on stage. I jumped a whole section of what you asked me.
It's all good.
Prior to comedy, when I was very, very young, when I was like 3 or 4 years old, I began in dance class. And initially my mom had put me in ballet. She wasn't a stage mom by any sense of that like term, but my friends were all in ballet. So she like put me in ballet. Hated the leotard, hated the tights, hated the bun, hated like it did not feel good. Everything to me at that time, and I'm sure it would be like this now, I was just like, bothered by it.
Yeah.
But then I saw like people in a hip hop class that were wearing what looked like much more comfortable clothing.
Sure.
And I connected more to like the movement that they were doing rather than this rigid like ballet. It can be very rigid, and there's a lot of rules, and so I ended up taking hip hop classes at a very, very young age.
Cool.
This will probably mess with the mystery of my age. But
I'm really good with dates and artists and stuff, so you might want to be careful.
My first recital, like, if not the first, like the first one that there are pictures of, like there's documentation, there's like a video of it, was This Is How We Do It.
Montell Jordan. Oh my God. Yeah, it's one of the best. I'll drink to that.
And the cool thing about hip hop versus like at least ballet for me at that time was I got to perform more of like the song, really. It wasn't just the movement. There was performance elements to it as well. And I think I was like 7. I did my first play that had music elements in it. It wasn't a musical, but it was like, it was a like a montage of, it was a story with a montage of different musical numbers in it. And then I did King Lear with a similar vibe where it was King Lear, but with certain pop songs thrown in.
Oh, wow.
And I was like 8 years old doing the Shakespeare thing with cool. Like really awesome music in it. And then from there, I was in musicals pretty much nonstop till college.
Nice.
And it's very funny to me now. I don't know if funny is the right word, but I still love musicals a lot. And in fact, I just watched In the Heights twice in theaters, and that like fully rekindled like me listening to musicals again. But
haven't seen it yet, but it's on the list for sure.
I mean, I'm biased because I did get to see it on Broadway.
Look at you, fancy.
I won the ticket lottery, and that's one of like the coolest moments of my life. I got to see it front row center and seeing it in theater, especially with having this, like, I mean, it's more than 10 years, but like this decade go by, and I've changed so much since then. It was such a visceral experience to like have that be back, because musical theater is now, I feel like, just another lifetime ago type of thing. Singing gets me very nervous now, which
really,
I have sung for like, there was an event I did once where there were like tens of thousands of people that I was singing.
Wow.
Actually, I sang with Rachel Bloom at this event. But
cool.
Now, like even karaoke, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. Yeah.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
I feel like I don't have a go-to necessarily, but the last one I did was JoJo Leave Get Out.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Which I loved.
Another one from that era.
That song, I loved singing that for karaoke because it is such an like the people that at least like grew up with JoJo, it's a shout out kind of sing with me anthem type of song. You could also just kind of scream it, which is nice.
Yes, that helps.
But I feel like when I used to be really confident with the singing, I used to get up for karaoke and sing like Respect and like some Alicia Keys. Like
kill it.
I don't know. I don't feel like there was ever that one song that
I always have to do this one. I'm known for this song.
However, I should probably now just perfect one song that is not going to make me nervous.
Then you'll be more relaxed. You go up there like, I've done this a million times. It's fine.
I should probably do that actually. Yeah.
That's great.
So thanks for the idea.
Yeah, of course. So with the singing, does Mike over at AP Bio know that you're a singer?
I don't think he does. It's funny because Eddie and I, Eddie who plays Anthony on the show, one of the things we bonded about was musicals. And
nice.
It's so funny because he we have a mutual friend who I know from the days of me doing a lot of musical theater.
Sure.
And she told him that I sing. And he goes, I heard that you are a singer. Like, what's that about? And I finally did send him, I found an old singing lesson when I was like going through looking for something on my computer. I was like trying to find something. I found this. I was like, okay, I'll send it to Eddie. So he knows like just an idea
what you're about.
This could definitely be a karaoke song for me, because this I feel like will never leave my body. It's from the musical Chicago, When You're Good to Mama.
Oh, hell yes. So good.
Which, funny enough, I in high school didn't even like, I wanted that role in high school. I was a sophomore. I wanted that role so bad. I think I was a sophomore, if not sophomore and junior, but I wanted that role so bad. I got the understudy for it. I got ensemble, so I was a dancer for Chicago, which that was one of the hardest physical things like in my lifetime I've ever done.
I can't imagine.
We at one point, I cannot believe this is the same person when I say this out loud, because I physically do very little these days.
None of us do.
Our choreographer for that show had us do in dance heels, lunges diagonally across the stage, like we're standing and then dropping to a lunge and then coming and then going across the stage. We did that as a warm-up once in heels.
A real light warm-up. Oh my God.
We were supposed to do it like very Fosse-esque, where we weren't moving our torso.
Good God.
but I digress. I was an understudy that only got to do it during the understudy run of the show, When You're Good to Mama. And then in college, I got to, I did it as an assignment. So I did a voice lesson for it, and I have a recording of that. And it's very, like, I'm a big 𝗶𝗁𝗄𝗃𝗃 belcher. If you know who 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗰𝗏𝗏 is, when I was younger, everybody used to call me like little 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Really?
I was I'm a very tiny person still. I'm like just under 5'3". When I was younger, I was like this little tiny thing belting out with like growls and stuff.
Wow.
So it's funny because I highly doubt that Mike O'Brien or any of the writers know anything about this. But during the course of AP Bio, like these, like I think it's been like 4 years of my life have been unlike any other point in my life at all. Like, if there was ever a time for an opportunity like AP Bio to happen, I would have wished it could have been any other window of time, because in any other time and place, I think I probably would have been a little bit more vocal with that. I will say, though, when we did the talent show episode, Barbara, our line producer at the time, came around with a clipboard and asked the students if we had any talents that we'd want to share in a talent show episode. And this was weeks before we even saw a script. This was
You're like,
weeks
what do
before
I say?
we knew the storyline to spectacle. Like, but it's funny because from what I understand, all of us gave all of us gave typical responses, I would say. I did say that I sing, I dance, I gave multiple things. I didn't give really too much detail.
Right, not specific.
And I feel like Allison might have said this in her podcast episode, but Barbara went around with this clipboard, and everybody said these things like, "Oh, I sing, oh, I dance," and Spence actually did say, "I can catch popcorn in my mouth."
Yes. She did say that.
So I do love that. Like, no, I don't think the writers know that I sing.
Right. Sure.
But so they did know that one of us could catch popcorn in our mouth.
That's amazing.
Oh,
I love it.
So funny.
Hidden talents.
Yeah, hidden talents.
I mean, that's great. That's a fun story.
Which that episode was an absolute dream. Couldn't come true in so many ways.
Sure.
It's so funny, though, to me to think about that episode now, because I thought about during the pandemic, and wearing masks and whatnot. Like, when was the last time I had a cold or the flu or anything?
Right.
And
2 years ago?
The last time that I had a cold was the week that we filmed Spectacle.
Of course.
And what was so, I went through, this is a little graphic, but it's funny to me. I went through an entire bottle of Zicam, the little spray that you spray up your nose. I went through an entire bottle of Zicam that week, and I remember vividly the little play excerpt where Nick and I are like, I don't remember the context of the scene, but I scream. I have like a blood-curdling scream. And I remember thinking that day, there's no way I'm going to be able to scream without something coming out of my nose. So I had to I was so doused in Zicam for that. And I remember
I have to watch it again now with different eyes, different set of eyes on it.
If you know going into that episode that I was sick, I sound so nasally, even with the me saying the alphabet backwards.
Sure.
Which, side note, because this got fully axed from the interview that Mike had with us, and I revealed this there.
Yep.
Fun fact, I actually can say the alphabet backwards and very fast. Amazing. The writers had absolutely no idea about that. They did not know. And I asked, if they wanted, I pitched this a little bit, if they wanted to take with me actually doing it well.
Yep.
We ended up not doing that. But it was actually so hard for me to do that because it's something that I think when I was probably 5 or 6 years old learned as just a simple special skill, which if I'm really going back, I think I might have learned it in speech class. I had to take speech lessons when I was younger. I had a pretty bad lisp with an S, which comes out sometimes in 𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀, which it works out. But
it works.
But those things that you learn very young that just become kind of detached from your brain. That's what it became like. Which I'll do it here. I might as well.
I was just going to say, this is your big chance to show everyone. I'm going to time it.
This is what we did with Mike, and watch me watch it, but I was able to do it under 4 seconds.
Oh my God. Hold on one second. I'm going to get my timer up here. Let's make this an official. Let's see here. Stopwatch. Okay, I will click it on your start. I will click start.
Okay. So should I just start talking?
Yeah.
𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁 got it.
Done.
Still got it.
Good Lord. Backwards. I mean, you get pulled over by a cop, they make you do that. You're still going to nail it.
I would.
You would.
I'm going to have that in my bag of tricks, but don't drink and drive.
No, don't drink and drive. 3.74. It's hard to see, but it's official. That's incredible. Nicely done.
But it's just so funny because that week I was hopped up on zycam, and I just remember thinking like, I got to focus so hard to do this wrong.
Right.
Because I'm going to just
you're so good
mess up and do it right.
Shit.
And the other thing that I remember about that week, though, because and Eddie and I talked about this so much, we have a shared love for Glee.
Oh, nice.
This was totally like our Glee moment. But here's the thing. There was a day where we thought we were just learning blocking. Mm-hmm. And on this day, we had a blocking rehearsal in the morning.
Yep. Which for the audience, blocking is like hitting your marks on stage.
Yeah. Hitting your marks on stage. Just rehearsing the movement of a scene. I'm trying to remember the exact order of this. We had the blocking rehearsal. Then we had to get in a hair and makeup for interviews.
Okay.
We had a table read, and then I think we shot a scene that day. It was like one of those, wow, this is what actors do days. Because we were really, we were running around. But here's what really happened that day. And I was sick. So this was a lot for me to and it was at the beginning of this, it was at the very beginning of the week.
Sure.
because the way episodes work, at least on our show, it's definitely changed since second season. But on second season, one episode would be 1 week.
Oh, wow.
It would take a week to film one episode. It has changed now. Now we film, it's usually an average of 4 days an episode, sometimes 5 if it's needed. Okay. And we overlap episodes. So we will sometimes shoot one episode in the morning, an episode different at night. So once it became Peacock, totally different. But back in the NBC days, it was 5 days for the episode. And in the beginning of the week, which is when I was like, oh, no, I'm like, I woke up and I was like, no. We get to set. That blocking rehearsal was actually a full-on choreography session. Oh, my God. Which actually I was not new to. I have been lucky enough to, I've had many choreography sessions throughout like the course of me training for dance, but the show The Fosters on AP, the family, what's that? You know,
ABC Family.
ABC Family. Yeah. But now it's Freeform. Now it's Freeform.
Whatever the hell that is now. I can't keep track.
that show, which I was almost on that show so many times. I was looking for so many roles on that show.
Oh my God.
Get it. But one of them was a dancing role, and I went through a series of auditions where it was like a regular audition, a regular callback, and then I had a choreography session as like a dance test. And it was me, the other actor they were considering, and then a bunch of dancers that were auditioning for dancer-only roles.
Oh, sure.
So that was, I mean, leagues harder choreography than we did on AP Bio. But that said, AP Bio's choreography was fast. And I remember thinking, like, I have a ton of dance training, was not prepared that this was what was going to be happening. Sure. And I remember that day, I had so much fun, but I do remember that day being like, oh man, we're having a full on choreography dance workout session. I am sick as a dog.
Oh God. The worst week for that episode.
There could not have been a worse episode, at least for me, to have felt sick, but I got to avoid the big AP Bio sickness that happened at the season finale that I know almost everybody got sick pretty much, but I avoided that one. Wow. But it's just so funny. I don't think anybody got sick from me either, which I'm very glad about. But I remember thinking, like, during the pandemic, wow, that was the last time that that I had like a cold.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
Yeah, that was I think 2019. I think
late
maybe earlier.
Holy cow!
It might have been earlier.
You'll never get sick again.
I hope so.
At this rate,
I really hope so. Damn. I didn't get cold type of sick, but I got like a pretty epic big illness right before the pandemic. Ooh. So I'm hoping that especially I'm keeping with the mask, especially now
me too.
With this Delta variant. So I'm confident that I will not be sick for a long while.
These people going on like COVID is just over with. It's terrifying. Like you think it's over? Like
I have mixed thoughts because I'm fully vaccinated and I definitely I want this to be an endemic so badly.
Yes.
Every so often though, like I finally went to the movies last month, and I was initially nervous even about that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I wish that we could have better peace of mind keeping with the masks. Yes. I think everybody now knows the tools to contain the spread. Yes. So I don't know why we don't continue with those tools if we can't stay inside for years at a time.
No, it's not normal.
But there's definitely still complete mixed messaging, and it's driving me absolutely bonkers.
Yes.
Me too. I wish we could just have a uniformed approach at this.
What they're saying is, the CDC recommends that people that are vaccinated don't need to wear masks, and then people that
but it just changed though.
Yeah, aren't vaccinated. They didn't care in the first place. The unvaccinated people have never cared about, for the most part. masks.
I just realized, because my gut was like, but it's changed now. I just realized the CDC hasn't changed yet.
Right.
It's at least in LA Public Health just changed. Like they just, what's the word? They went from reopening and saying like, if you're vaccinated, honor system, quote unquote honor system, to wear masks or not, which is ridiculous. But LA Public Health is now saying, even if you are vaccinated, we strongly urge you to wear masks.
Okay, so they're at least saying that, but the CDC, I don't think has come out and said that.
They haven't yet.
What the hell?
Is what I'm.
It's weird.
That's frustrating, and I feel like until this Delta is more under control, we should continue with what we know will help.
Yeah, it works.
Contain the spread. Yeah. And if it works for not getting a cold for 3 years, like
like that's a bonus, you know? What the hell? It's scary. Like I've heard some of the latest numbers on the Delta, like with the Pfizer vaccine, they thought it was originally a higher efficacy. But
I just read that.
Yes, 64% effective only or something like that. What the hell?
I got Pfizer, so when I read that, I was like, this was a major gut punch.
Yeah.
Because I really thought that like, it felt like one of the more superior.
Yes, like, oh my God, I got Pfizer.
Not that like there really wasn't that much option. It was like whatever was available.
Whatever was available at the time. Now it's like you can't even give them away, to anyone. It's like, it's so frustrating. But that's a whole depressing thing that we are deling with still.
Yes.
Like, let's get back to fun stuff. What do you say?
Yes.
So
I think I brought that back by bringing it back to illnesses.
No. It's real life stuff. It's real life. We talk about real life shit on here.
It is.
It's fine.
It is.
So I read that you worked as a stand-in. Like, is that what?
Yes.
You did that like when you were first starting out, or like you currently have people you stand in for because you look like them, or how does that work? I don't know how that works. When I first got to LA after graduating college, I grew up in LA, always kind of knowing what extra work was. At least I thought I did. Sure.
And I was always urged never to do it. And
really?
I never really dissected that. I just took it at face value. I was like, okay, I won't ever do it. I was told you won't be taken seriously as an actor, yada, yada. There's a plethora of things that you hear.
Sure.
With extra work. I responded to a casting call on Actors Access for Glee, which I ended up doing extra work after that moment for 4 years on that show.
Wow.
And it was very funny because that was not the plan at all after getting my degree in drama, not the plan at all.
No.
But during the course of that time, I got to know a lot of the stand-ins on that show.
Sure.
And it was a world that seemed intriguing to me, but I also was very scared of it because I'll get into the real stuff on this podcast.
Get to the nitty-gritty here.
So extra work became a way for me to have a day job, but it quickly kind of became the way I was making my healthcare.
Wow.
You work a certain amount of time when you're a SAG actor. If you work enough, either hours, days, or make enough money, you can qualify to have great healthcare.
Oh, nice.
So I got kind of wrapped up in that world. I liked the extra work part of it because I was still able to go to my auditions. I was doing them in maybe not so what's the word here? Truthful, ethical ways.
Sure.
There's a lot of extra
do what you
work
can.
that you kind of lie, cheat, and steal to make sure that you make it to your auditions.
Yes.
So for a long time, I wasn't even considering stand-in work because you cannot do that with stand-in work.
Sure.
Extra work, which to anybody listening that doesn't know what extra work is, there are background actors on television shows, films, various other projects that are hired to be the atmosphere. They do not talk. They are not the focus. More times than not, it just provides the full landscape for the scene so that there's not just actors in a vacuum.
And nothing happening in the background.
Under that background actor bubble are stand-ins. Stand-ins are different than extras because they are not typically in the scenes as they are filmed.
Sure.
Between scenes, there are lighting setups, and just there's a lot of technical things that go on. And actors work, not just actors, but actors are there very early in the morning, even before crew call, to get hair and makeup. So these are the times where they can kind of take a break, prepare for the next scene. And a stand-in, who typically, but not always, is their height, around the same complexion, general hair color, that just for lighting purposes can be kind of like a mannequin for
a
the
living
actor.
Mannequin.
That's where they come into play when there's lighting changes.
Sure.
Stand-ins, though, do a lot more than being a mannequin. It's as if they are a mannequin who also have to watch a scene and be able to regurgitate blocking after seeing it one time.
Yep.
Which is something
that'll
that
teach you quick.
I'm actually not that great at. So it's very funny that I have entered a world of being considered for these huge actors for standing in. It's gone to the point where I used to say no to a lot of these stand-in opportunities.
Sure.
I was in contention initially. I was called to potentially stand in for Rebel Wilson in Super Fun Night.
Damn.
And this was years and years and years ago. They asked me if I'd wear a wig and everything, and I politely declined, because at the time I was auditioning and I was like, I don't know how I'd be able to make stand and work.
Right.
Fast forward some years, I got this amazing opportunity to stand in for Melissa McCarthy on reshoots for The Boss.
Damn.
And I realized I was like, reshoots on films is such a cool avenue to explore, because me as an actor, that's like the peak. That is the absolute peak, and something that I probably wouldn't get to see other than like being on set and having a couple of lines, at least so far in my career.
Right.
With The Boss, it was like a crash course, and not only Melissa McCarthy and seeing her like do her brilliance in the flesh, but seeing what goes into some of these huge, high budget movies. And I ended up standing in for Melissa McCarthy on reshoots for The Boss, Ghostbusters, which was one of the most intense sets I have ever been on.
That's incredible.
And something kind of cool about stand-in work, which I really shouldn't have led with the mannequin comment, because when I stand in, at least for me, I get to do a lot of really cool things that involve acting. On Ghostbusters, I got to do some off-camera dialogue with Karan Soni.
Oh, wow.
With like an explosion happening like right in front of me.
Cool.
But every so often, stand-ins, which there's like a commercial with Drake and who is it?
State Farm, Aaron Rodgers.
It's the State Farm commercial.
Yeah, Super Bowl commercial.
Like where they make fun of like how stand-ins don't have lines. That is not, I have a beef with that commercial. That's not always true.
Okay.
Stand-ins will sometimes have off-camera dialogue for a few reasons.
Sure.
Say an actor has just another commitment, an interview or something they have to do. Like maybe they have prosthetics they need to get for another scene. Maybe there's 2 units going, so they're sometimes 2 units means they'll split a crew in half or get extra crew so they can film 2 things at once to save some time. So every so often, a stand-in will actually, during the filming of a scene, provide the dialogue for the character they're standing in for.
Okay.
So I through stand-in work, got to do some really cool off-camera dialogue work there, but I got to do a bunch of things with Melissa McCarthy. And then more recently, Beanie Feldstein. I have followed her for 2 films, and most recently American Crime Story Impeachment. Oh, cool. Which during the pandemic, there was a point in the like spring, summer, like the start of spring, summer, where I was like, okay, my industry shuttered. I'm never going to work again.
Yes. Oh
This
my
is
gosh.
terrible. And then I got this opportunity to stand in for Beanie again. And that's what I was doing all the way up until we started filming 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗃
Really?
season 4. Yeah.
When did that
so
start
I'm
filming
still,
then?
𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃 season 4 or American Crime Story?
Season 4 of 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃. I can't remember when that even started.
We've started filming that March.
Yeah.
We did it March and April.
That's right.
And I had worked on American Crime Story impeachment from like August, September-ish, I think, till the week before we started.
It's a nice gig then.
It was, but it was also one of the most intense gigs I've ever worked. Yeah. Especially during a pandemic, I will say I think that project is probably one of the most ambitious projects working, and they're actually still filming. They're actually still filming.
Holy crap.
I left the project early, but
damn.
I got to see some magic there.
Crazy stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I'm blanking on a lot of like stand-in stuff, but I stand-in work nowadays is like a case-by-case basis sort of thing. When I can do it, I do it, but primarily only in reshoots for film or for films, because it's a much shorter time commitment.
Nice,
but
in between other projects.
Fun story. One of the movies that I stood in for Beanie for, we'll pretend that made sense, was Booksmart.
Oh, I love that movie.
The funniest thing happened to me on the filming of that project, because there was a day where, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Booksmart, which have you seen Booksmart?
Yeah, it's good.
There's a scene in the film where Beanie's character slams a wanted poster in a jail. And when we were lighting this scene, which we were filming in an abandoned jail.
Yep.
It's like
creepy.
Kind of a gross location to be filming.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was not great. But I'm sitting in this this little booth where they do the visits, and I am like staring at this wanted poster, and suddenly I'm like, wait a second, is that Mike O'Brien? And I said it to myself. I said it to myself just out loud. Sometimes I talk to myself.
Yep.
I did not realize anybody was around me.
That's amazing.
Is that Mike O'Brien? Olivia Wilde is sitting right next to me. She goes, it is. And I my head just bolts to her direction, not realizing she was next to me. And I'm like, great. What? I'm on 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃. He's like, he's my boss. He's my big boss.
Yeah.
And it turns out they're besties. Like,
what?
The funniest part of this,
Olivia Wilde and him?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm assuming Jason Sudeikis. I don't know their friendship,
sure.
everything. But
that makes sense.
She was like, he's got to be in the film. And I'm like, what?
What the hell?
There was a day where, and I don't think Mike O'Brien even realizes this. I've never really clarified this moment for him whatsoever. But that film, the majority of that film, especially in the beginning, was night shoots. Lots of night shoots.
Sure.
When you film a party scene, more time than not, if you're watching a scene that is set at night, just for the listeners who don't know, that is typically filmed overnight. So that film is a bunch of house parties. So it wasn't normal in the sense that it was like we could change time zones fully, because it was a lot of splits. Splits means like you'll shoot some morning scenes or afternoon scenes, and then it'll become night. So we'd have like a normal Monday, and then Tuesday would be split into like a later afternoon call. And then Wednesday to Saturday basically would be full till the sun rises. So I'm in like this very like spaced out sort of mindset, because that film, standing in for one of the leads on that film, was chaotic.
I bet.
Those types of films, shout out to anybody that listens that is a stand-in who works on films and stands in for the leads. You're doing a lot, and you do not get enough praise, because it is hard. I literally would have a blocking notebook because I'm.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I was like, this is a lot, and I'm. Yeah. So this one day, I'm looking at the call sheet, and I see at the bottom of a call sheet. The call sheet is like the rundown of the day. Mm-hmm. At the bottom of the call sheet, I see, Mike's gonna be in the morning tomorrow, and I decided to be festive about it instead of like reaching out to him like a normal human being, which I suppose I absolutely could have. I just wore my AP Bio hoodie to set and was like, I'm gonna surprise him. I didn't have a plan, and in the morning of this day, which morning for that day was afternoon. It was the same day of the Lido's pizza with like the hair beards and everything.
Yep.
That day we're going for breakfast, which is like around lunchtime, and I end up behind him.
Oh no.
in the buffet line for lunch. Oh my God. And I'm like, Mike, hello. And his immediate response was like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? He had no idea I was involved in the project whatsoever. And so I had the most botched surprise with Mike O'Brien at the shoot of Book Smart.
That's so funny.
That day ended up being amazing and very funny. And he was so funny in that role.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's great.
This is more his story to tell than mine, but I do think it's funny and nobody ever talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact about that scene, they had rented a car to film in.
Oh, okay.
And you usually when you film in a car, they'll roll down a window for the camera to be there.
Yep. It
was such a busted old car that the window wouldn't go down, and they had to break the window. I'd never seen that in my life on a production before. And everybody was so excited about free pizza that I feel like it went unnoticed.
Really?
So Mike might not even know that moments before he shot his coverage, it was like his coverage of the scene.
Sure.
They literally put a trash bag under the window and busted the window.
He had no idea. Oh man.
I don't know if he did or not. And
well, Mike, if you're listening, this is the true Hollywood story right here.
It's probably one of my favorite
so
behind the scenes moments.
I love those type of stories.
That's great. It's so random. And I was told that day that often happens, that films a lot of times will just break a window because it's cheaper than losing the time.
Right. It's just easier to figure it out that way than trying to do it the right way.
What is the right way in that?
Yeah, I mean, whatever's faster, So you mentioned Mike O'Brien. I mean, when you started on AP Bio, what was it like being around like Glenn Howerton and Patton and Paula Pell and just, those three legends? What was that like for you coming in?
I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But for so much of the beginning of the show, I was so overwhelmed with what was even going on that I feel like those relationships and whatnot didn't really I feel like I wasn't really taking it in till later seasons.
Sure.
Because which I guess this could tie into my talking about standing in and background.
Yeah, I was gonna say you started out as a backgrounder. Right?
Yeah. So this show, my process onto the show was different than any process I've had on any other show I've done. Typically there's a normal audition, sometimes a callback, sometimes depending on the role, you'll have a screen test or a producer session. Like it just varies. For me, initially, I went into this project in a very strange point of my life where I had been with this amazing kid agency. They were amazing. My agent had left to become a manager.
Okay.
2 former casting directors decided they'd try being agents.
Okay.
They became my agents. And then 6 months later, I guess they realized this wasn't for them. They didn't like being an agent.
Wow. Okay.
And instead of going through like a 3rd round of this, this primarily kid-centric agency just decided to close the young adult division. That was the division I was in.
Sure.
So I had basically just lost like my incredible agent at the time. I still had my manager, but I was going into pilot season without an agent for the first time. And like, it was a bizarre time. I think around the start of the show, I had just signed with a new agency. But like pilot season was basically done. And I was like, well, okay. I saw a breakdown on Central Casting's page that it was just for the pilot, and it was only just a week's worth of work. Seeking 18 to look younger, wholesome Midwest types. I think that was the breakdown. And it was very generic, and I truthfully thought I was just submitting for 5 days of work. And I was hoping just to get that money to go towards my health care, because everything had just stalled for me. Like just from all corners, I was like, okay, this is not great. I got to do something. And by that point, I had pretty much stopped doing extra work in a like way that was full-time-ish, because there was a point in this journey that I was doing extra work most days of the week. I would leave for my auditions in the ways I needed to do it, but it was most days of the week. At this point, I had done 2 episodes of How to Get Away with Murder. I had done Real Husbands of Hollywood. I had done Awkward. I'd taken a step back from the extra work, but my gut told me just do the 5 days of work. Truthfully speaking, most pilots don't. Like it's you work on a pilot and then it's never to be seen again. I then got a call about an interview for it, and initially my gut, when I heard interview, I was like, no thank you. Like I wasn't even pass. Interviews usually need featured for background work, and any background thing, extra work thing I had done, I would really, really try my best to blend in the background. I wasn't always successful in it. There were many times that I don't know what I do, but sometimes I'm just noticed. But in this case, I'm so glad I didn't blurt out like, no, thank you prematurely, because I was told it was an interview that would be one-on-one with the showrunner, Mike O'Brien. Which you never get that. Like I had never really heard of that kind of opportunity ever. So I was like, oh yes, cooking. Of course. And I was told it was to potentially be one of the other students in this main classroom. And when I heard classroom, like my heart kind of sank, because I was like, I want to meet this showrunner so badly. I do not want to be an extra in a main classroom. Like, ooh, ee, ooh, But then I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to go in. I had a plan that I was like hoping to be brave enough to do. A friend of mine that had also started with extra work, who now does amazing guest star roles across TV. He had an amazing guest spot in Your Honor. Like his scene made me cry. He, in one project we did, took his headshot and resume and just marched up to the showrunner and was like, I would like for you to have it. And like confidently gave it, breaking every rule. He had the skills to back it up though, and the charm and charisma and everything. And it worked for him. He ended up with a role on the show. It was a line, but it was something. It was like, not only a line, he began a relationship with that showrunner. I went in thinking, I am not like this friend Ricky. Shout out to Ricky Brown. I am not that boldly confident. I went in thinking, okay, the showrunner's going to be there. If I'm not going to just boldly give it to him, maybe he could give it to casting so I can audition for this show, because all the bits that I'd read about it on like Variety and Deadline, I was like, I feel like I could be on this show. Like I didn't know, I did not read a script. I did not know full details whatsoever. Didn't know about who was starring in it or anything. I just knew Mike's brand of humor, and I was in an AP bio class for real life. So I was
you got the background.
I feel like, yeah. But here's the funny thing, that interview, instead of it being like leaving it to chance, I decided to just go in a way that I would feel in control enough to have that moment of like passing my headshot. So I actually walked in and was like, I have an AP Bio story to tell.
Nice.
I actually sucked at AP Bio. I'm not that kind of nerd. I failed. I failed my AP Bio exam. But the funny thing is, I took AP Bio with my younger brother. He was a year younger than me, but because of our last names, he sat behind me.
Oh my God.
And or in front of me or something. But he was like he was
that's funny.
in my space.
Yep.
And I would dip, which this should have been an indication of how I would treat extra work in the future, but I would dip. I would leave from AP Bio to do drama court activities. Like I was on the drama court. I don't remember what position I was because I wasn't president. I wasn't vice president. I was something though.
Treasurer, secretary.
I was something.
You were something.
I was something. Something honorary, I'm sure, but I was a part of it. But I would kind of lie sometimes and say I had drama board duties to do.
Sure.
And my brother, more than once, ratted me out to
Mr.
Spo, our teacher, saying like, no, she doesn't.
Like, she's not even involved. She's not even in that.
Yeah. Like my brother full on called me out. So like I went in in front of everyone.
The whole class. Yeah.
The whole class.
Of course.
And like I was already not good with science to begin with. Like biology was not my jam.
No.
So I got full embarrassment from my little brother in my real AP Bio class. So initially when I heard, and at the time it was called Untitled Michael Bryan Project.
Oh wow.
But the working title that like when I got the voicemail with like the instructions for this interview, it said, we think we have a name. Working title right now is AP Bio.
Oh,
that's when I was like, okay, I'm going into this thing. I'm going to say this story because like,
I'm going to assume that's the name. Yeah.
I also was just like, when else am I ever going to get to tell this story ever?
Right.
But I went into this interview that ended up being Mike O'Brien, Oz Rodriguez, who directed the pilot and the first AD of the pilot. And I walked in, decided that I would kind of like inform the way that this interview was going to go.
I'm going to run this.
Basically. And it fully was like an anxiety tactic for me to just feel like I was more in control than I was.
Sure.
But at the end of it, I had this vision in my head of being so confident, like my friend who would just like walked right up and handed his thing. And I like probably more timidly than I even remember sat up, and I had a backpack with me because I didn't want to like hold the headshot and resume.
Right.
Was, like,
hold it, sweating on it.
I wasn't really sure what to do, so I brought it back. I brought
Amazing.
a backpack.
You're getting into character.
If anything else, I was like, this will maybe sell me looking younger.
I'm totally in high school.
So I stand up and I'm like, I'm going to be that guy. I literally said those words, pulled out my headshot and resume and said, I would love for, and I remember this pretty vividly. I looked and I realized, I don't know if I should give this to Mike or us, but I kind of like just split, like dodge
the difference.
And I was like, I'd love for you to have this. Like, if you don't want it, totally fine.
I love it.
If you're throwing it in the trash, if it could be the trash of casting, that would be so cool.
Casting's trash.
I took the moment to kind of pitch myself as an actor. I name dropped some of the projects I had done, and
perfect.
Some of the bigger actors that I'd like worked with.
Yeah.
I definitely waited till the end of the interview to do this.
Make it awkward at the end, not the beginning, right?
Yeah. But I remember leaving and thinking like, I botched that. That was so awkward, because one of the things I completely skipped over this, which I think is funny. Something I didn't realize I was doing during that interview that I'm sure ended up being one of the things that made me memorable, and it absolutely fell in line with the comedy of the show. Unintentionally, didn't realize I was doing it.
Yep.
I kept having a series of answers that were NBC related, and I did not mean to do it.
What?
We were talking about live musicals, And I was like, oh, if there was a live musical I'd want to see, it would be Little Shop of Horrors. And I would want, and they were like, what would your dream casting be? And I said my dream casting, and I was like, an Audrey 2, I'd want 2 Chainz. I'd want 2 Chainz to be Audrey 2. And from there, I jumped from 2 Chainz to 2 Chainz Law and Order episode.
Wow. Okay.
Because he was in an episode of Law and Order, and he was great.
Just but all branded NBC for you.
And I didn't even mean to.
So
and I remember leaving and having this flash of, oh no, why did I do that? That was so try hard. Why did I do that? And I didn't even mean to. And I literally thought I had bombed this interview in the most awkward of ways. And then I got the call that I was picked to be one of the people for the pilot.
Awesome.
And I was like, okay. I didn't want to be in the classroom because I didn't want to be featured. But I was like, you know what? It's 5 days of work. I need the 5 days of work. Let's do it. I get there day one. They had already decided where everybody was going to sit.
Seating chart.
They sat me in the front row.
Of course.
And I was like, okay,
there's
no going back now. I'm not, regardless of where I am, I, as an actor, especially after having like pursued this my whole life pretty much. And like, I don't know, you can't just like not act. If you're in the front row, you have to be in the moment. Like I couldn't sabotage this pilot just because I didn't want to be featured. So we get there, and it was so funny because like there were initially X amount of us chosen to do this extra work, and 2 people were booked to be alternates, and we didn't know who was booked to be an alternate.
Okay.
So this whole day was the whole first day of the pilot was unnerving. To give the mindset of where it was unnerving. So the pilot, we start filming, and it's so funny to me to think back on like moments of how did I get to Marissa, like on the show, 𝗶𝗶 Marissa.
Yes, 𝗶𝗶.
And it's funny to me because I so much of it, especially in the beginning, was genuine obliviousness to what was going on. As an extra, you have to sometimes fight just to get the sides of the day to know what's going on. There are times when you're an extra where they don't even give you sides, so you don't know what's going on until the rehearsal of the scene. Wow. So in the beginning stages of AP Bio, especially in this pilot, this first week of the show, this is a whole long-winded thing to mention. I love it. Glenn Howerton and Patton, but it's funny because in the beginning, like day one, is when I discovered that Glenn was playing our teacher.
Amazing.
And
I love that.
I personally, as Marisa Baram, had a funny connection with Glenn because, and someone on Twitter, not someone, like 2 people now on Twitter have called this out. So like, I guess enough people have figured it out that this is a thing. I still cannot believe it. But several years ago, I did some extra work on It's Always Sunny.
No way.
To any super fans watching, I'm actually in the 5-Star Man montage as one of the daters.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
For Dennis.
I have to go back and rewatch that.
And here's the thing about extra work, at least for me. I can't remember 99.9% of the extra work that I've done. I've done so many projects that like they all kind of become this blur.
Oh, I bet.
I remember It's Always Sunny because this day I was only there for about 2 hours, maybe 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there was only like 5 of us booked for this montage. So there was only 5 of us, like we were separated from the group of bar goers. Right. And the only thing we were briefed was, okay, so you're going to be like on a little date with our main character. He's going to say some really messed up things to you. Just don't break character. And that was all that was said to us. Oh and I did a whole scene with Glenn in a tiny table. And he said the weirdest things to me, and then I left. And then here I am, day one of AP Bio in the classroom. And I have no idea what's going on whatsoever. I have, I don't know what they're doing with me necessarily because like they put me in the front row and I'm like, why am I in the front row? The rest of the people in the front row are talking. Why am I in the front row?
What happens with me?
Like it's hard not to feel like on the spot. And that's very early on in the pilot, I got coverage for me, which coverage means that there is specific camera placement to catch reaction shots that sometimes it'll be on two people, sometimes just a single. I was getting single coverage in the pilot, and extras are not supposed to, that's not supposed to happen for extras.
That's not a thing.
So I,
like, what's happening?
I was very in my head about all those aspects, but I think it was like day 4 of 5 in the pilot like experience. I mentioned to Glenn, like, I don't know if this is weird to tell you.
It's not.
But like I've met you before.
Oh my God.
And I told him, and he said I like looked familiar, which it's funny because like I don't know, I get that I look familiar oddly a lot. So sometimes I kind of feel like it's maybe like
it's BS. Maybe
you look generic. like I think I've oh yeah, I could have met you. But it's funny because until that pilot was done, I didn't really feel comfortable enough to really get to know anything. But that pilot especially is kind of where the groundwork for my Marissa character started.
It's incredible it was that early, you know?
It very much is incredible. And if any of the creatives are listening to this, like, thank you so much for starting it early to make me feel alert because when the show got picked up, that was another instance of my gut telling me I should do it, but me not wanting to because at that point, again, I was really trying not to be featured. And here's another funny, way too real thing for me. I had just gotten a new agent, like right before that interview is when I had just gotten this new agent, but it was just too late.
Just in the nick of time.
But between the interview and filming the pilot, between the pilot, and the pickup of the show, I filmed the big guest star for Henry Danger, and I was starting to get into the swing of things again, of really auditioning consistently and for great things. And I was like, I can't do featured extra work when I know I'm going to be auditioning. Like my gut told me I couldn't do it. Because the other thing about doing extra work that is never talked about is not only do you not know what's going on script wise, schedule wise.
Oh, I bet.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything
ahead of time.
Basically the night before. So I went into the actual filming of the show, like after the pilot pickup, after the pilot pickup. I initially was lying to my agent. I was truthful to my manager, but I kind of made it seem like I said I was doing assistance for Mike, like I was assisting Mike, which
you kind of were. Yeah, you were.
I kind of was. Yeah. I wasn't his assistant. I never said I was.
You weren't specific on what assistance it was. It's not a lie.
Yes. So like in the beginning stages of the show, was so paranoid and nervous about what was happening script-wise because I didn't know. B, what was happening to me on the show because at a certain point I was starting to get written into the scripts. Which is not normal. Like, not normal at all. No. And I was just like, what is going on? And then there's a very long-winded version of saying, like, I started on the show not talking, and I was never supposed to talk.
Wow.
And
incredible.
then it became Marissa with 2 S's, which I think, honestly, I've never asked before, but I'm pretty sure the double S is just because they didn't know how your
name was actually spelled with 1 S, your real name.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's funny that you got to keep your actual name, but it's just in general, but then it's just another S on there. Like,
which I will say is very interesting, and I wonder if Mary feels similar in this. I had never played a role with my name before. I had auditioned for roles with Marissa.
Oh wow.
But I had never had a role, especially this long term, where other people are saying my name to me. It is so interesting as an actor to have your character be your name, because the fourth wall for that glitch of a second kind of just feels like it's broken.
Yeah, I bet.
It's so interesting. And especially during Katie Holmes' Day.
Oh my God. Incredible
I remember,
episode.
there you go. It's
so good.
And so good. And just, it's just such a magical episode.
Yes.
Such a derangedly like magical episode. But during the pageant scene where I'm getting booed, I think Anthony even says boo Marissa, but like there were like 200 extras. We filmed it on the back lot of Universal. And I remember thinking the night before, oh my God, a crowd of people is going to be booing my name. Oh my God, a crowd of people. And it's interesting because like, even when you're in character, it's hard not to hear your name and like,
I bet.
Feel something.
Like I bet it's pretty surreal and kind of just trippy when you hear your name.
Very surreal.
All day.
Honestly, I don't think there's been a single point, at least in my experience of ABBA, that hasn't felt surreal. It's surreal to me that I'm on a podcast that someone even knows who I am, because like it's funny. Henry Danger has this huge fan base, and I feel like the majority of people who know who I am are younger kids.
Sure.
It's so funny with AP Bio. My head can't fully wrap around the notion like that this wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
And my brain, especially when it was starting to happen first season.
Oh, I'm sure.
Every step of the way, I was like, okay, well, that's it. Well, that's it. And then at a certain point, like it went from being like, how is this happening to, okay, that probably won't happen again, to, oh my God, like, am I going to get fired if I start screwing this up? Like, and I was trying to figure out who this character even was, because there's no character description. A lot of the students didn't really have, from what I've been told, didn't have much of a full description either.
Yeah, I bet not at first, especially.
Yeah, especially for the pilot, it was very vague things.
Loose,
and I've heard on various like podcasts and whatnot from the creatives that like I think initially everyone was kind of booked under the guise of we wanted funny reaction.
Yep. Like with Allison too, you know.
Yeah, and it was just a very interesting thing for me, particularly though, because everybody else was starting to already be established. And at a certain point, and I think it was mostly the house party that I really started to have these thoughts. I was like, okay, these different entities exist. What lane am I going to go into that hasn't yet been driven? Because this cast is huge.
Oh, it's gigantic.
It's gigantic. So at a certain point, I remember thinking like, well, I can't do that. This person's doing that. Well, I can't do that. This person's doing that. And
what do I do?
It was just a very interesting way to figure out a character, because a lot of it was organic of like, just truly going moment to moment in the show.
Just happens as you're shooting.
But then other parts of it was kind of strategic, trying to find out where I really fit in this atmosphere. Because I think if there was ever a role on the show I would have auditioned for, but I didn't, it probably would have been Heather. But I didn't audition for the pilot. There wasn't an opportunity for me to do that.
You came in a different door.
Came in a side door in the yard.
The door's like rusted shut. You have to break it open.
In the yard. But it was comforting. Yu Yao also entered the same way I did. So it was nice, especially as more and more episodes were happening with Yu Yao written in. We had at least that bond of like, this is scary.
This is how we got here the same kind of way.
but we're gonna figure it out. But I will say, like figuring out character wise, I feel like Aparna was the one that brought this up first season. I think someone had tweeted her about how AP Bio. It must not have been Twitter because it hadn't aired yet. But I think it was maybe just a friend or something, mentioning The Office and how like it reminded her or reminded them of The Office in the sense of like mini versions of like those kind of archetypes. And I mean, I agree in some ways, disagree in other ways, but that helped me. That little remark like kind of flipped a switch in my brain, because I think as soon as I started realizing, oh, I'm being written into this a little more, I need to start to have a real point of view of who this character is, because it's very hard to figure out who a person is from little one-liners. Like that's a kind of a hard way to figure out who someone is. Along the way, I was like, you know what? I feel like I would maybe be like a Phyllis meets Kevin. Like,
yes, perfect.
So I kind of just like, just kind of trying to find this point of view that I felt like wasn't already happening, which is never really the way you want to go about approaching character work really on anything. But I feel like that's how I ended up really on the show in the way that I'm on it, which I still can't believe.
It's amazing.
I cannot believe people trusted me to do this. I'm so happy they did. I mean, lots of training, and I felt really up to the challenge.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then just have the creative freedom to like kind of create the character on your own. It's amazing. Which
is great, but also very daunting.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
Because there's just so many. There's so many options.
Yeah,
I got caught on
where do I go?
What is this called? The Wire. But I guess I don't need the light. I was like, it's getting dark. It's just a very interesting path for a show as an actor, for sure. But also, I wonder sometimes if people watching, especially if they don't know the different roles people play, both speaking wise and other, if they even knew what happened.
Yeah, I mean, the general public probably doesn't know that. It's
super cool. Like,
it's so cool. It's amazing that you just kind of came in that side alley door that was rusted shut and broke it down and are now like a part of the cast. You know, it's I
so cool. Didn't even know that it was a possibility. Yeah. And as I've lived it, it's been just a very wild ride. I feel like that's the best way to describe it.
And it's not the norm how this went, but it's
not the norm. And I will say, which, because I feel like I didn't ever end up answering this part of the question that led to all this.
Sure.
People like Patton and people like Glenn made what is actually uniquely daunting, like a uniquely daunting position to be in, so much better.
Oh,
because
nice. I like to hear that.
There was a day early on, I want to say this was sometime first season, and it was a day that I was cast, because in the first season I did not know what was going on. Sure. I was written in and
on
then,
purpose.
I don't know. I probably should have at some point said it would really help me emotionally if you told me what was going on, but I was just too scared. I had a lot going on also, so I was just like, okay, we're doing this. But there was I think it was like probably my third episode as cast, and by that point, just to explain it, like House Party, I was scripted ahead of time. I was supposed to be in that.
Yep.
The next episode we filmed, I was just supposed, which this aired out of order. But the episode where Jack grabs my face and I say, like, we're back kids. Yeah. Initially, it was just scripted that he was supposed to grab my face. There wasn't a line there. And during the rehearsal, I guess I did great in that rehearsal with whatever reaction shot I did. The director came in, leaned on my table and said, we're going to have you say something. And then the writers came and told me what they wanted me to say. And then from like there on out, it was pretty much like I was written in, but I wouldn't find out till the last minute. By the third episode that I was written in, I still had no clue that anybody really knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
But Patton was on a little golf cart on the back lot and let's say like, "Good morning, Marissa."
Wow.
And I was like,
cool. Oh, holy crap.
Oh my God. And then like,
he knows my name. It's my character name too, but
yeah, I mean, that definitely helped me, I'm sure.
I love it.
But things like that made me feel like, okay,
I bet.
I belong here. I'm here. Like we're all just people like on the same project.
For sure.
And Glenn is so awesome. Like in between scenes, he really bonds with us on various levels, both on like acting levels, but also just like on a human personal level. And
oh man,
especially as the seasons have gone on, it's so inspiring to get to work with just such brilliant minds. Like they're brilliant actors, but I feel like it's the case for a lot of brilliant actors. Behind that brilliant actor is a brilliant mind and a really cool human. So it's just very, very cool that I don't know, like where this thought is going, but it's just very cool that like, that, I don't know.
They're like real human beings. And
they're really nice.
Yeah. That's so good to hear, just because, I mean, you hear about a lot of jerks in Hollywood, and it's nice to know that they're not jerks, basically.
And it's true. I could tell you, especially having done so much extra work and background work and stand-in work, photo double work, I've seen it all. Like I really have seen it all.
Damn.
And we could not have lucked out with just a more sincerely amazing group of people in this ensemble. Like this, all these people, there's not one person on set that it's ever like, oh, like this is a day with this person.
Right.
Every single person is such a light on Bio.
That's incredible.
And I cannot tell you the guttural laughs I've had over the years, both during like scenes and during just like between scenes from Glenn, Patton, and Paula.
Oh my God.
They're just
those
such
three
funny,
are just
amazing people.
A triple threat. I mean, good grief.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So good.
So good.
Just Patton and Paula's relationship on the show too, it just kills me. It's those two are
so great.
So
There are so many times I watch the show, which by the time the cast is watching the show, we have seen table read to various iterations of the script, and it's changed so many times that you read it over and over and over. We go through filming takes after takes after takes of these scenes, and then you watch it. It shouldn't be funny anymore. It really shouldn't.
No, because you've heard everything.
But there are times that I watch the show, which I'll end up watching it like myself, and then I'll watch it again with family.
Sure.
So I end up watching it more than once.
That's so cool.
Without fail, I will laugh at the scenes with Paula and Patton.
Oh,
they are just dynamo together.
So damn funny and so great. They have such great chemistry together. I mean,
so great.
Love
so
them.
Great. Like, oh my God. I wish I could be in more scenes with the two of them combined. I will say I haven't gotten to film too many scenes with the two of them, bouncing off one of each other really. But
it'd be hard not to break. It'd be hard not to break during those scenes too.
Which I pride myself honestly on not breaking character.
Really?
I would say I'm pretty confident that if there are like dailies and bloopers, that I'm probably going to have some of the fewest because I don't know. There's something about being, especially for comedy to me, for filming comedy scenes, unless I am fully in character, I will break.
Oh, sure.
So it's, for me to break it takes a lot, because I feel like I can be pretty ironclad with staying in character.
Sure.
Paula, though, her first day where she did here's my uterus, asked me the 5 things that are wrong with it.
Oh, funny.
I was just, at that point, I wasn't even cast yet. So I really couldn't be breaking.
Oh my God.
I was like, this is one of the funniest actors I've ever seen in my life. It was so great.
And it's so crazy that she was a writer for so long before she started acting. Like, she's such a natural.
It blows my mind. I think I had recognized her from like 30 Rock, so I knew she definitely was on various projects. I didn't know really
She's on SNL
her
forever as a
involvement
writer.
with SNL till I was working on the show.
Yeah.
But like, I'm so glad that she's finally more on camera because
she's a gift.
Oh my God. I think one of my new like goals as an actor, like I so badly want to play some kind of either relative of Paula sometime or like a younger version of Paula. Oh, it would be so fun. That I would like, I feel like I've studied her enough, like just on the course of the show, that if that opportunity ever came for me, I'd be like, okay, let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready.
That's so funny.
She's so great with physical comedy too.
It's so like good.
She has a stance, and when she has that stance, you know it's about to be like
something's
funny.
About to be hilarious. Yep.
Yeah, and she has like the most genius ad libs. I
bet.
I wish I could be there for more of her scenes because I think if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. If I am wrong, I'm so sorry to any writers that may or may not listen to this. There's there's like this scene where she's spelling mnemonic out and trying to say how you spell it, and it goes to R, and she goes, as in, are we having tacos? I don't think that was scripted. I don't remember that being in the script, but when in the episode when she goes, are we having tacos? I died.
Paula Pell is a genius, and we love you.
Yes.
Paula, I hope you're listening.
Also, Paula had one of my favorite season 4 moments, which filming during a pandemic sucks.
That was my next question. Tell me what it was like shooting during COVID.
A mind reader.
Perfect.
So I have, I think, a uniquely different experience than I think a lot of people in my cast. I know Paula and I get chatted about this, but she filmed in New York. I had been filming on American Crime Story, which had a much larger production like 𝗀𝗶𝗫𝗀 does.
Right.
So I had been well-versed, and I mean well-versed in pandemic protocol.
I bet.
And when you're in filming during a pandemic, what that looks like in general across all shows, there are things that are the same on certain shows, but different on certain shows. But across the board, there is regular COVID testing between 3 and 5 times a week, depending on your show.
Right.
You, depending on the show, will be wearing, well, I guess it's not depending on the show. Every show, the crew is wearing a mask and a shield, both. In the presence of actors who cannot be masked, it's a mask and a shield. Physical distancing, which is very hard to do when you're filming.
I bet.
There are a lot of food rules and regulations. I will say American Crime Story had very different food situation than 𝗀𝗶𝗫𝗀 did. It just depends on what studio, what network, where you're filming. But by the time I got to 𝗀𝗶𝗫𝗀 filming, I was pretty already burnt out with the COVID protocols. It's where it becomes one of the biggest challenges on the acting side, because I went from being on the stand-in side to the acting side. On the acting side, you as an actor get to set very early for hair and makeup as it is. If there's an 8 a.m. call time, it's very typical to have like a 6 a.m. call time for hair and makeup, or 6:30 a.m. call time for hair and makeup. With COVID in the picture, it became even earlier that we had to arrive to get the test. And you have to wait for the result in order to be able to go to hair and makeup.
I suppose. Yeah.
So the days sometimes in the beginning, the days were longer. Once we got into the swing of things, it was a lot more efficient, and days actually became a lot shorter. This season, for season 4, they did a different lighting rig than our typical lighting. Usually we'd, for every scene, relight for the scene. For COVID reasons and time, we pre-lit everything in the classroom.
Okay.
So it was an interesting season. Not only was it like the protocols that were just very different than a normal day of shooting, the way in which we were lighting was also different. So we no longer had too much of a break on AP Bio.
Oh,
so,
I suppose.
Yeah, this season
go.
Was very intense for the actual shooting of it. It's great that this show is so funny, because some of the most guttural, funny, hearty laughs I had in like the last year.
Oh yeah.
Were thanks to the brilliant scripts for season 4, which season 4 there was such funny stuff.
I cannot wait.
I don't even know episode numbers, because everything gets mixed
blended
up
together.
Well, beyond the fact that like everything kind of blends together.
Yes. Already.
AP Bio is filmed in a way that every episode could kind of live on its own, and a lot of times the order in which we film the episodes are not the order in which they air.
Right.
That has happened every single season.
Confusing.
It's very confusing. But this season, I don't know the episode order, but one of the episodes we didn't get to film last year got reimagined to fit a new season.
Cool.
And I think it should be the first one up.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
But it's called Tornado. And it is a great episode. And I cannot wait to fully I have no idea when AP Bio season 4 is happening.
Who even knows?
I'm in the dark.
This fall sometime, in the next few months, who knows?
But I will say this episode on the page was one of the funniest things I'd ever read.
Oh God. Hell
Filming it was just hysterical bonkers. But one of my favorite moments of the whole season, Paula accidentally filmed an entire take with a mask on.
Oh no. What?
I think this was day 1. I think this was day 1 of season 4. Not day 1 of, I retract that. Day 1 for the students of season 4.
Okay.
We started a little late in the game.
Okay.
Our first day, so I think it was only a few days in though. We were filming, and then Paula does everything with the most commitment. That's what makes, I think, so much of what she does
funnier.
just even funnier. She commits 1,000%. She committed so much that she finished the scene before she would, and she didn't skip a beat. She was like, "Why is everyone looking at me like that?"
Oh my God. That's so great.
It wasn't until the end of the scene that she was like, "Oh."
Nailed it.
I wonder how I wonder
funny.
how many other shows encountered that. It didn't happen on American Crime Story. That wasn't a comedy, so
no. Oh, it's not.
A little harder for that to happen.
Sounds hilarious.
It really
oh my God.
Something though that I didn't mention that I think is kind of funny with my pandemic on-set experience.
Yeah.
Until AP Bio, I had spent a lot of the pandemic in a White House replica.
Oh wow! I suppose.
So weird, because I was standing in for Beanie, who's playing Monica Lewinsky. So I was in the halls of this White House replica.
Oh wow!
And I go from the halls of this White House replica to literally the next week going to McKinley and having this moment.
That's so funny.
Paula jumps into the scene and has her mask.
That's so great. I wish I knew if that would be available to watch somewhere eventually as like an outtake, because now I got to see it.
I hope so.
Oh my God.
This season, I do finally have a real blooper. I was thinking about it the other day, how I feel like my bloopers are pretty like tame compared to like the funny stuff that happens on the show. But no spoilers involved, but unless they cut this, I hope they don't. I will say that's another thing interesting that I don't think, well, I think maybe Nick commented on this a little bit, but a lot of things on a 22-minute comedy get cut.
Oh yeah,
it's so hard to squeeze in all the jokes. And early on in the show, especially when I was trying to figure out Marissa as a character, a lot of my lines got acts by the time the final edit aired. So yeah, I don't know if this line will make the final cut, but am I gonna sneeze? No, I'm good. I have a line that has, and it's one of my favorite lines, so I hope it stays. I have a lot of names I got to worry about, a lot of nicknames. I got to worry about, and I had some trouble keeping the order of these nicknames and who they are. And it was, I almost felt like it was a test to see if I was a robot, because I was like, how am I going to memorize this?
Would I do that?
This line was one of the hardest lines for me to memorize of anything I've ever memorized. And I've memorized pages, like monologues that are pages and pages long.
I don't know how you do it. My gosh.
Which, Glenn Howerton, going back to Glenn,
he's got a lot.
He has monologues galore on this show.
And he does.
He is able to, there's like this meme, or this, maybe it's more of a video of this young little boy taking a book and like running his hand across the page and then like running it around his head, like he's trying to absorb the page into his head. It almost feels like Glenn is able to do that, because he is able to he'll look at it in the hair and makeup trailer, and I'm sure he'll brief himself beforehand. But during the rehearsal is really when he absorbs the word to words. I am blown away.
It's just a skill set that I do not have. I can memorize songs and stuff eventually, but I can't imagine memorizing huge monologues like that. I'd need cue cards.
Funny enough, I feel like monologues are sometimes easier than just random dialogue, because you're self-generating the memories and the moments, and it's at the end of the day, it's usually a story. It's hard if it's bad writing. Thankfully, 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗏 is not amazing. It's great writing. But monologues, if you're doing it every day, that's another story.
Oh my gosh,
I haven't yet needed to do that type of memorization work. But it was just so funny with this one line. I was like, the day before, I was like, how am I going to do this? This is hard. I can't wait to see if that, I hope it does, because it's a very funny moment. And I'm so honored that they trusted me with this moment. But that's the cool thing about 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗏, that there are jokes that are so subtle, but they're so strategic. If that's the right word, it's probably not the right word, but you can't just say how am I trying to explain it?
I know what you mean, but I don't know how to say it.
They're crafted. They are crafted, and you want to honor what's written on the page. There is a time and place for ad-libbing, and there's moments where Patton and Paula get to do amazing ad-lib, and Glenn too, amazing ad-lib work. But every so often there'll be a seemingly insignificant line, and it's very funny. But
just hits you.
You have to dissect it, because there's more than one funny element to it. And it's one of those things with 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗏 that I think is very subtle, and I don't think maybe too many people realize the technical aspect of it, but it's such a cool element to the show, and it's so cool to see everyone do it, because there's not a single actor on the show that doesn't have this process of figuring out the joke in their character's point of view. It's a very fascinating thing.
Wow. That's what makes them good actors, great actors.
It's very fun in the context of a classroom too, because sometimes you'll read the page and you absolutely just read the voice of the actor. It's amazing.
That's magical.
Amazing.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, thank you for that kind of behind the scenes look at 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗏 shooting during COVID. My God, I can't imagine what that's actually like.
How did I get to that point? Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I necessarily recommend a set experience during the time of COVID. And it looks like the back to film protocols, I think that's what it's called. I don't know. They're the back to
BTFP.
It's like to work safely again. I think a lot of these protocols are staying for a while, which makes filming, which is an already very challenging thing, even more challenging. And it's that much more tiring. To think about how much harder life is just in general. To work a place that's like a 12 to 14 hour process.
Oh my gosh.
Which thankfully AP Bio usually this season we were more on the 10 to 12 hour bubble. But it's hard. It's tiring.
I can't imagine the grind, especially with all the protocols. But you made it through.
Comedy,
you made it through.
Yeah. And so grateful for comedy that made
for sure.
Made the experience funny because
if that was a drama,
so funny. There's so many funny moments.
I cannot wait. Well, do you want to do some rapid fire questions?
Sure.
Cool. We've been home. I mean, you've been out doing things like acting and making a living acting. But over the course of the last year and a half, a lot of TV watching. What are some shows you've binged recently that you want to shout out?
So I've watched so, and I cannot emphasize this enough. So much TV.
Yes, me too.
Let's see if my brain doesn't go blank. Okay, sure. Dave, of course.
So good.
Yeah. I think I even had rewatched season 1 because I loved season 1 so much.
Sure.
I just finished The Bold Type on Freeform. Bold Type.
I don't know that one.
A series on Freeform that I truly went in thinking I was just going to hate it. I put on the pilot just trying to get a taste of the show because I seemed like I don't know, I'd watched pretty much, it felt like everything.
Everything. You got to the end of it.
Let me give it a go.
Sure.
Great series. I caught up to speed and just finished the finale that just aired. So that's definitely one. Nice. What else? Oh my God. I'm watching everything. And of course,
all in progress.
Nothing's coming to mind other than those two things. On the drama side, Mayor of Easttown was great.
I've heard that's really good.
Riveting.
That's on the list.
So great. Your Honor, I had watched that, but that was less of a binge. I was watching that week to week.
Also on my list.
What else? Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, which I'm heartbroken, just got canceled.
I had heard that. Really 2 seasons? 1 season.
Yeah, 2 seasons.
2, that's right. That's too bad.
Which I can only imagine just how hard that must have been to film during the pandemic. I'm so bummed that shows are having to end what feels like prematurely because of that.
It's such a bummer.
Same thing with Good Girls, which was another show I was loving and watching, and that's ending as well.
Did they get 3 seasons? 4? I can't remember.
I think they did 5 seasons.
Did they really?
They definitely did 4 seasons.
Time flies. Yeah, they did 4 for sure.
I should definitely know this because beyond watching it during the pandemic, I ended up doing a self-tape for Good Girls.
Oh,
so
really?
I should know what the
how dare you?
On, but these auditions, I think we talked about this in the DM, but a lot of these auditions, I really try to just forget.
Forget that you did them. Don't get your hopes up.
So much for rapid fire.
That's
do
okay.
Add one thing about this because I do think it's very helpful to any actors listening. I once had an acting teacher that said you want to treat auditions like I can cuss here, right?
Of course. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
An acting teacher said you want to treat these auditions like shit. You take your toilet paper, you wipe it, you put it away, you flush it. The next audition comes, you take a piece of tissue, you wipe, you flush it. And then way you are not bringing it with you. And I have a tendency to bring it with me. So
it'd be hard not to.
Yes. It's hard because you really study for these auditions in a way that you are getting into the mind of this character. So it is hard to bring it. But and it's also always a 2-step process, especially at least with every actor I know, or most actors. You do it, and then inevitably you want to see who actually does it.
Yeah, for sure. Who got that part?
you forget about it, and then sometime later, sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's 2 years.
Sure.
You see who you did it, and then you're
the bastard
like
that got it. Yeah. Some good shows in that list.
So many, but I'm like blinking on like so many more.
Okay.
One just got renewed that I was really excited about. Love, what is it? It's Made for Love.
Made for Love.
Good. Yes.
That sounds familiar, and I don't know if I've seen that one. It's going on my list if I haven't. I can't remember.
It's on Hulu.
Okay.
I think it's on Hulu. That's the other thing that's been interesting about
keeping it all straight.
Streaming wave time. There's just so many streaming avenues that I like don't even know where I'm watching these things anymore.
I don't either.
I feel like I'm just like bouncing around. Oh,
bring it to me.
Generation on HBO Now or HBO
Go
Max,
Now or Max.
Max, yeah.
Generation Now.
Which I initially started watching it and I was like, okay, I might be a little too old for this show, but I was watching it and I thought it was so fascinating. It feels a little like Euphoria in some ways, but it's like a Euphoria meets my so-called life.
Oh, perfect.
Like,
love it.
It's
called
nice,
Generation?
like coming of age. Yeah, Generation.
That's going on the list.
It's great.
Nice.
I will say, I did think that the second half that just dropped was a little stronger than the first half, which tends to be the case for most new shows.
Sure. Got to get their feet, get their legs, sea legs.
Especially a show like that that's filming during the pandemic. I hope people are giving new shows
a chance
because it's hard.
Shows, I bet. Shows get canceled way too damn quick now. It's like 4 episodes and they just cancel shows. Yeah. It's like, it didn't even get a chance to develop anything. It's frustrating when you get attached to these shows after only a few episodes and then it's like they're gone.
It's especially hard when, and I do feel like this is a uniquely network type of thing, but maybe not because Netflix is canning shows after one season too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
It becomes,
they don't give you any idea how they're doing either until they cancel it. It's like there's no ratings.
It's a bummer because you get as a viewer invested in these shows on your own timeline.
Yes.
And it feels like a slap in the face sometimes when
you're like just finish it.
Well, like I feel like more and more people are understanding the concept of boundaries and I don't quite feel like the suits are necessarily understanding that people are no longer dropping everything to put on the TV in the age where there's DVR streaming, where they can choose when to watch. It's not being accounted for. So
destination television.
Yeah, it's very hard. It is very hard to get into the newer shows because it's a gamble. You're like, am I going to start watching this 11? And
invest a bunch of time and then it's like, oh, that got canceled. Well, they left us with a cliffhanger. Now we don't get to see any resolve. It's we have it so rough, Marissa.
It
watching
is so
this stuff.
Rough.
It's so rough.
I will say though, something nice to get into is the limited series because
you know
yes, it's the commitment. You're not going to be, if you're left on a cliffhanger, it's intentional. It's on
purpose. And then it's like you can still be frustrated,
but it is hard. It's very hard.
Life is hard.
Life is hard.
Great shows. Few more rapid fires. Music. What have you been listening to? I know there's so much TV to be watched, but we got to listen to music too.
I will say, I feel like the bulk of my free time is spent watching film and TV.
That's fine.
And part of that, I feel like, has bled into what I've been listening to lately. Because I went from, I'm so behind on the times that I've only just recently switched from Pandora to Spotify.
Okay, so, Grandma.
I'm really bad with technology. Like when I say I'm like bad with social media, like I mean it. There's something about technology that is so scary to me. I don't know.
It's terrifying.
I do wish there were more classes because I feel like
classes.
At a certain point,
that's adorable.
At a certain point, I think I'm gonna need to take a class
in social media and technology.
I can't keep up anymore, but I finally got on the Spotify train, and I feel like
love it.
a lot of what I'm listening to is curated, and I'm not maybe necessarily picking the artists and the albums that I'm listening to anymore. But something that happened after seeing In the Heights was I started listening to the In the Heights soundtrack, like the original Broadway cast recording, and then kind of gone down a little rabbit hole of musicals again, which I went through a large stretch of my life where, like, growing up, I listened to all the musicals. I was in all the musicals, listening to all the musicals.
Surrounded by it.
Surrounded by musical theater. And then it was gone from my life. I was just, like, listening to primarily, like, I mean, I think majority pop, but some R&B, hip-hop. That's usually more my jam.
Hell yeah.
But just now with In the Heights, I started listening to In the Heights, and then a little last 5 years.
Cool.
I think I even listened to Footloose the other day.
Perfect.
When I was doing a little workout. So right now I'm in a little musicals kick.
Little show tunes and musicals. I love it.
Little show tunes musicals kick.
Very cool, theater kid.
Which that's the kind of nerd I am. Which, like, I'm not like, I don't know I don't know science. But musicals.
No, musicals are your thing.
Musicals, which I was amazed by how many lyrics I still remembered, having kind of closed that chapter.
Drilled into your brain. Yeah.
Drilled into my brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of theater kid, what was your first CD you ever bought as a kid? Do you remember?
I do remember, and this is absolutely going to age me, but we're just going to pretend that, like, I got into buying these things late.
You were late to the party.
This is so me. This is so me. But the first one that I remember buying, and I saved up money, and I went into, I think it was like Circuit City, and I bought it.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Was The Boy Is Mine. Brandy and Monica.
Brandy. Oh my God, that's amazing.
This CD, which it was just the single, but I remember this CD because it was not only the radio edit track that I had known and loved. There was an extended version and a karaoke track. So I think
that's
at some
perfect
point
for you.
That must have been one of my karaoke go-tos.
Yeah,
like,
that was the first one you sang, and that might have been your regular for a while. Who knows?
It might have been, because it really was a staple in my childhood, because that was like the first one for me. The Boy Is Mine.
That is
Brandy and Monica.
That's such a great first one.
I feel like whenever I like sang it with friends, I always, for some reason, decided to be Monica. I don't know why.
Interesting choice.
What's funny to me,
someone has to be.
Someone's got to do it. But
why not you?
During the course of the pandemic, it's funny. I'm having like a full circle moment right now, because Versus, the series on, like, there's an Instagram channel called Versus.
Okay.
I want to say it's VERZUZ.
Oh,
They take very big names in the music industry, and they put them kind of like head to head in a way that kind of celebrates their music together.
Okay.
And they had one with Brandy and Monica.
Awesome.
At some point in the pandemic, I can't tell you what month, what time of the pandemic.
Who even knows time anymore?
It might have been a full year ago now. I don't even know. But
who the hell knows?
They were on this Instagram live together, battling it out, and they had The Boy Is Mine. And I remember thinking, like, I hate this pandemic, but, like, oh my God, what a moment.
Oh,
like,
just what a time to be alive, right?
Yep.
So on that same kind of note, what's your theme song? Is it that song or something different? Like, if you could pick one song to have come on when you come in the room, what song would you have come on?
That's a good question.
Well, thank you.
I don't think it would be The Boy Is Mine, but
it'd be really funny and weird if it was.
I know what it would be. Okay. And this is going to tie into a beautiful little 𝗶𝗫𝗁𝗀 season 4 moment that I got to be big about, but it absolutely is going to, So I think it would be, it would definitely be a Missy Elliott song.
Yeah.
Let me decide which Missy Elliott song it would be. Let's see. I'm just gonna go with Gossip Girls because like okay.
Nice, good choice.
Gossip Girl. Is that the title of the song?
Sounds right.
I'm like going through
all the lyrics.
I think Gossip Folks. Gossip Folks.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
I have Gossip Girl. I know why I have Gossip Girl stuck in my head. Right now, there's no. I did not, but right now, as of Monday, at least today, there's a lot of news about the Gossip Girls reboot. That's very kind of funny. It's kind of funny. I've read some funny headlines. And that was recently just in my brain. It's definitely called Gossip Folks.
Yep.
So I would go with Gossip Folks, Missy Elliott. And
that's incredible.
How this ties into AP Bio.
Okay.
I'm going to try to do this in the vaguest way possible. And I hope, again, this is a moment that I don't know if it's even going to air, but I so hope. There is a day, there's an episode for AP Bio that I'm pretty sure it's going to be the last one of the season. I'm almost positive. So I could say that much.
Okay.
I get to wear a very, very fun wardrobe costume for a certain scene.
Okay.
And that entire day, I channeled Missy.
Yes.
I won't tell you exactly which Missy I was channeling.
Is it velour tracksuit Missy or?
I was channeling Missy. That's all I'm going to.
Can't wait.
That's all I'm going to say. But I think that if I did have a theme song, I think Gossip Folks would be
perfect.
Would be pretty good for me because it's a pretty eclectic little song. There's a lot going on. I also really love Ludacris's verse. But there's something about that song that's very bouncy and very like I'm aware of what people are saying.
That's a great choice. And if I wanted to get kicked off of YouTube, I'd put it in underneath this part of the interview, but they would reject it. But.
Yeah, Missy's probably aggressive. I think she just had her 50th birthday. She just had a birthday.
That's crazy.
But Missy Elliott to me is an icon. Like
she's awesome.
I definitely need to list her in my favorite like artists as far as
she's a legend.
Music goes. She's absolute legend.
Sure.
Both musically, but also like visionary and the art of the music video. I feel like was heightened so much with Missy Elliott.
She had amazing videos.
Yeah, I love her. And also, I guess I could throw this in here because why not? Where else?
Why not?
We're having fun. I got to audition once for a Missy Elliott music video.
What?
And the audition for the video, which in my career of acting, like I haven't auditioned for too many music videos.
Sure.
I worked one music video very early on into my LA journey, but I auditioned for this Missy Elliott video, and what was sent to me when I got in the audition was, please learn this verse. And it was Get Your Freak On. The first verse and like chorus of Get Your Freak On. And I had never gone into an audition like more oddly confident because I got that and I was like, I know this already.
I already know it.
I of course practiced it around my apartment, but it was just so funny to get in the waiting room, and they had basically every type of person you could possibly think of, and they all had to do the same thing. And it was so funny.
Hilarious.
Because you could hear them through.
Of course you could.
There's something that in post-pandemic time, I mean, we're still in pandemic, but during pandemic times, we're not going into rooms really anymore. In the commercial world, apparently, there are baby steps happening.
Oh, really?
Towards that, but
wow.
I've kind of taken a leak of absence with the commercial side of things. But in these times, a lot of spaces, you can hear the auditioner.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's
how embarrassing.
I've had auditions for TV where I did have to sing, which that was pretty much in the course of the last several years. The times I'm singing is usually when an audition calls for it. Those auditions are nuts because you're in the waiting room. You could hear note by note.
Oh, I'm sure. Someone's just bombing it.
It's been the opposite. When I've been in the waiting room, these people are amazing.
Oh,
wow. That is that is the thing about Los Angeles and pursuing an acting career.
So many good people
are amazing. Like, of course there's going to be people that try it and they realize it's not for them.
Right.
There may be like, they look like they would be an actor, but maybe it's not there. I would say in my experience, at least being a character actor and at least in my individual niche section of this little world, there are incredible performers. I have listened through the walls and thought, never mind, I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh, really? And did you leave or did you still?
I've never left an audition,
okay,
but like,
that's good.
I have been so intimidated by,
I bet. Be hard not to be.
The vocals I've heard through the walls of the room.
Damn.
But for this music video, different case. Hearing people from all walks of life trying to rap some Missy Elliott.
Oh my God. I bet that was a riot.
Very hit or miss. But very fun. Probably one of the most fun auditions I've ever gotten to do.
I bet.
Like, and I don't know when I would ever do that again, ever.
I mean, there's still time.
And what's funny is that the person that ended up doing that was the girl I had auditioned against for that dancing thing for the Fosters.
What?
LA is really that small. You are in the spaces with these people. Like,
wow.
So weird.
That's so strange. What a story, though. You got to audition for a Missy Elliott song. Like, what the hell? Video.
And get your freak on. Like,
like that's
a song that, like,
that's so funny.
It's great.
I love it.
It's great.
I love it. So with all the free time during the pandemic and still now, do you have any time for hobbies? I mean, I say free time, but you sound like a really busy person. Did you get into like puzzles or anything like that?
I feel like more so in the beginning of the pandemic, like before I decided to toss the antsy, I'm caged section of the pandemic, I kind of flipped that for the stand-in job, which took over my life. But and then into AP Bio. But I did get into the baking phase that so many of us found ourselves in. I was making some great banana bread, and I tinkered various recipes for that. I was baking a lot of cookies. But all of these things I was kind of modifying in like weird, like not strange ways, but I was like trying to see what I could do to still fit my clothes, I guess.
That's the whole thing, right? Especially when you're not doing as much, you're watching more TV.
I for most of the pandemic, I had relocated to be with family.
That's
in
good.
large part because I was truly terrified.
I was going to say, like, it's a lot harder, I would imagine, if you were just by yourself. That would be.
I thankfully have roommates
that's
where
good.
like at my apartment, but even with just like roommates, whether you're alone or with roommates, you're going to be with these people like for the pandemic. And if you're by yourself,
oh my gosh,
like I can't even really fathom being by myself for that long, because I go stretches of time at my apartment where my roommates have very busy lives. So I go
doing whatever.
I go sometimes a week just having the apartment to myself. So I
take that times 100.
Kudos to anybody that spent this pandemic alone, because I can't
imagine. My LA brother did. I don't know how the hell he did it.
God.
Ugh.
I feel like all my friends that did do that are now in relationships, though. So
that's good.
Maybe it really lit like a fire under some people's just to like really go and like definitively meet someone. I feel like during the course of the pandemic, I like spent a lot of time with my family, and then the baking, binging, just
everything,
so
all the
much.
things.
I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I did binge something that I should not have binged. But I am glad I did. But also, I feel like I wish I just would have waited. Black Mirror, I ended up watching it again. Like, I had watched it a long time ago when it first started airing.
Me too. I could use a rewatch.
If you rewatch it in the times of now, it is a different beast.
I can't imagine. God.
And something with music involved that I can tie in. Of course, everybody right now, I went from hobbies to this. Wow.
Yes.
I'm definitely with the Free Britney movement, and something that I cannot stop thinking about during
insane.
the course.
It's batshit crazy.
It is horrible. It is horrific, and I really hope that, I really hope that it's soon that some legislature and policy is changed, because
of course
the mental health institutions in our country suck.
They're terrible.
They suck. They
Some
are
of the
terrible.
worst.
But at the point where someone is completely losing their agency, and it's so obvious to everybody that it's abuse of power and an egregious attempt to just control someone's money.
Oh yeah.
It's a completely different beast. And there's an episode of Black Mirror with Miley Cyrus that I cannot stop thinking about in the context of what's going on right now with Britney Spears. It is different, but the mechanics, at least in my opinion, are very similar.
Sure.
And so I've spent, I think, the beginning parts of this pandemic with the hobbies, but then it kind of switched into like some existential, like pondering. I won't say crisis. It was some existential pondering.
Okay.
In my rewatch of Black Mirror. Some of it wasn't a rewatch. There was some of it that I definitely had not watched.
Yep. Some I haven't seen. I've skipped around on it, so I don't even know which ones I've seen anymore. It's like I have to just go through and watch them front to back.
I will say it's great, but I would definitely follow up with something like what I did was I watched that, and then I watched The Simpsons. Which
lighthearted.
Something that I hadn't watched until the pandemic were like some of the newer seasons of The Simpsons. I was a little afraid to, I think. Because I grew up with The Simpsons. I love like the classic versions of The Simpsons. Like I was afraid that it was not going to be the same. And I watched it, loved it, super funny. Even the newer stuff I thought was so great.
It's gotten better in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, for a little while, it was just kind of like my wife and I have watched it basically our whole lives. And it's just kind of like out of habit that we watched it, but it's gotten a lot better in the last, even like probably 3 to 4 years. It's kind of like it's on the upswing again. I mean, it's been on for 30 plus years, you know?
It's the type of show that I hope it can't go on forever, which is a bummer.
But it'll be so weird when it's not there anymore.
It really will. But I do feel like it'll be a similar thing to bring up NBC again, Law and Order SVU.
There you go.
In the sense that
2 chains.
There is like SVU, there is always a marathon. There is a channel that there are like 2 channels that I feel like there's without fail you'll be able to like find an episode if you want to watch it.
For sure.
I hope someday The Simpsons is kind of like that, which I think it kind of already is.
I think
in that kind of way.
It's
But I hope till the end of time.
But just that it's always there. Yeah, I think, and I hope it will be. Good stuff. Simpsons, love it. Did you ever get into like Family Guy and American Dad and the other Fox cartoons?
Family Guy a little bit until it was canceled, and then I remember watching it a little bit when it got picked up, but I don't really gravitate necessarily to still being like, let me put on Family Guy. Every so often though, Hulu does this thing where it just starts playing.
Just play some stuff. That's like, okay, I guess I'm watching this.
Yeah, it just like decides for you what you're gonna watch. Every so often I'll end up watching it.
That's cool.
And I do think it's very funny, but it doesn't hold the same place in my heart that The Simpsons does.
It's not the nostalgia factor for you.
Yeah, no. And then
that makes a big difference, I think.
I think it does. I mean, I don't know. They're very different to me. They're very different to me. And the humor also is very different to me too.
It is. It's much different.
I do think Family Guy sometimes is a little more what's the word, mean spirited humor.
Yeah, for sure.
Which The Simpsons will have every so often, but I think it's done in a much more satire type of way that's
based entirely on
funny.
that. Yeah, for sure.
It's a little less callous than I think Family Guy can be sometimes.
For sure.
But there's always a mood for Family Guy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do feel like that's probably the extent of like the animated show. I'm trying to think of like animated shows, but I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I feel like I grew up with Rugrats and The Simpsons. Like those were
classic.
Yeah. And it's so funny because now the Rugrats are like coming back. Like,
yes, they are.
It really is an odd time right now because
it is.
We, especially with not, I don't know, the way things are, knowing days, years, but now it's like, okay,
time is
what decade are we in?
Yeah,
like,
time is just like, what is time? I don't even know.
What is time?
What is time? Such a deep question. So I've got just like those James Lipton questions. I know I've taken up so much of your time already. I mean, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't even see what time it is. It's like 9:13 here, so 7:13.
Oh, 7. Oh wow. Yeah, time flies.
We're having fun. We've been having some fun. Time flies when we're chatting.
I can talk. That is definitely something different between Marissa with double S Marissa.
Yes, double S Marissa. Me. Not a big talker.
I talk.
You talk, right?
Yeah, I talk in real life. I'm born and raised in LA, but I've always been told like I sound like I'm from the East Coast. Which both my parents are from the East Coast.
Okay.
I think I have a lot of that gusto in me to gab. Yeah. I have. My mom used to joke that she has the gift of gab. I feel like I'm in that lane.
Yeah.
So I can talk. Me on the show though, Marissa on the show though.
You're the ultimate guest though for a podcast. If you came out here with just like yes or no answers to not even yes or no questions, it'd be awkward. Never ask a yes or no question, right?
I do feel actually like yes or no would be good for me though. I could be succinct.
Oh yeah, okay. I could
versus
for certain things.
I love storytelling, which is, I mean, that's one of the reasons I feel like my love of acting continues to like come to be.
Yeah.
With anything though, with a yes or no question, there's not really a chance for like, oh, that
to
reminds
expand
me
on
of.
it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But everything else, I have so many stories.
So, I love it.
I never thought of podcasts as like I'll end up telling stories.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it. It's more of a natural.
I got my stories.
It's more of a natural thing. It's not as like structured. Like, what is this? What is your favorite this? You know, it's a good mix of both. You know, it's good to have a mix.
Yeah.
So with the James Lipton questions, number 1, what is your favorite word?
What is my favorite word? These are I could already tell are going to be harder than I thought.
These are the ones he'd ask every actor he'd have come in the studio.
Favorite word, which I feel like everyone probably says this. It is a cuss word.
Okay.
I am about to drop an F-bomb.
Yes.
Fuck is the best word in the English language. Like, which it might not even be it's not, I shouldn't say that. I think fuck is probably spanning many languages that you can't translate. But it's a great word.
It's a great word.
You use so many parts of your mouth.
Yep.
Like, I took linguistics at one point, and I wish I would have paid more attention because I can't remember if it's the plosives or what, but there is mouth placement for the word fuck.
It's get to fuck. Yep. It's just
using a lot of different. Yep. And you can use it in so many different ways. Like,
I was just gonna say, it's
a one-word sentence. It's a one-word sentence.
It is. It's so just like it's the all-purpose word. I love it.
It is. Good
choice. So that is also, what is your favorite curse word is also a question. So what is your favorite word that's a non-curse word? Swear word. I don't ever say curse word. It's swear word to me.
I don't know about favorite word, but I really like the word periwinkle. Oh. That's also a very fun word to say.
Yes.
Periwinkle.
Super fun. It's a periwinkle.
It's also a lovely color.
It is also a lovely color. You're right. It is.
It's also a word that I don't even use that frequently, so I don't know why that word comes to mind. Yeah. But periwinkle.
Yeah. Periwinkle. I like it. Good choice. What's your least favorite word?
Least favorite word? Wednesday. Because I have to remind myself how to spell it every time.
You spell it W-E-D-S, period.
Like
Weds.
I really should start to do that. In my mind, I always have to go Wednesday.
It doesn't make any sense that there's that NE in there.
In my defense, I went to a bilingual elementary school, so I actually learned Spanish at the same time as English, basically, at least in an academic setting.
Sure.
I didn't really get to see Wednesday till later on in my schooling.
Oh,
so
really?
Spelling of Wednesday is just particularly hard for me.
Your spelling was stunted then.
Yes.
Wasn't your fault. It was their fault.
Wednesday in Spanish, but I'm like, it's not miércoles. So what is it?
Oh,
but
lunes, martes, those are
miércoles. It is.
Miércoles.
I should always go with my gut.
Yeah,
I was
lunes,
like,
martes.
it's not miércoles.
Yeah, it is though. Turns out you're right all along.
My brain, it's lightning fast.
It is. Now this next question.
Too fast.
That's okay though. This next question is weird, and it's not my question. It doesn't have to be like, what turns you on? That's the question. It's not coming from me.
What turns me on?
Could be about like a person or like something completely.
So I'm gonna go with this is a more broad thing that turns me on. It's not necessarily like a physical thing,
right?
But safety.
Safety. I like it. It's so nerdy, but I love it.
I feel like I am like at my best when someone makes me feel safe.
Perfect. I like that.
And so I'm going to go with safety.
Yeah. Well, that's a great answer. On the other side of the coin, what turns you off?
Like, I don't want to go with the opposite of safety.
Unsafe people and things.
Okay, for this one, I'm going to go with like a habit.
Okay.
Cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
Like cigarette
gross.
smoke.
People still smoke? What? How's that a thing?
Yes, people definitely still smoke.
I know, but how is that still a thing?
And here's the thing, like it's not the act of smoking that I think is a turnoff. And this goes for both like friendship and relational, like the whole thing. Cause like I have nothing, I smoke, I just do not smoke cigarettes.
Sure.
Cigarettes, it's hard because people get addicted to cigarettes and yeah, I just, I don't know. It's a turnoff. It is. It's also a turnoff because cigarette smoke can also affect the people you're around. Yes. It's not just like
not just you. It's and then it's also just like it gets, I don't know, it's not the most pleasant smell. It closes your airway. Bad smell.
It's gross. To me, there's just could not be more of a difference between like cigarettes and like a joint. Like in my brain, they're different planets. Different planets.
Yeah, for
sure. Yeah, so I'll go with cigarettes.
Yeah, that's great. And we already covered your favorite curse word, fuck. Again, just a review for the listener and for us. Fuck. Fucking review. So you're an actor. Other than being an actor, what is another profession that you would like to try?
It's funny because Allison Snyder, Heather on 𝗵𝗶𝗀,
friend of the show,
asked me this question, and I was like, "Oh man!" Like I had a hard time like answering it, and because I was like, I don't think about this enough. I really don't. But something that really intrigues me that I absolutely want to be doing, but do not yet have the work ethic to do, is writing.
I
when I was growing up, was great writer. I entered some contests for various things like essay contests and whatnot. Fun fact, I am a published author in a teen monologue book. Teen monologue book. It's like
a book.
Monologue book.
I love it.
For teens, by teens.
Cool.
I have a monologue called Clown Phobia in there.
Clown Phobia?
Clown Phobia, yeah.
Nice.
I wonder if it's Googleable. I feel
bet
like
it
must be.
We're going to find
it. At one point, one of the coolest points of my life, one of the absolute coolest points of my life is I'm no longer, I Facebook. I wish I could deactivate at this point, but it's one of those things that like I will check maybe once every few months at this point in time. But back in the days when I was like using it, this was, I don't know, 6-ish years ago, 7, 8, I don't know. I got a random message from a girl in high school who was doing my monologue that I had written.
What?
And I was like, this is the coolest moment of my entire life. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I had honestly kind of forgotten all about it. But the way my memory works, at least as of late, I don't know if this is a newer thing, if it's always been there, I just didn't notice. Out of sight, out of mind rings real true for me. I often forget that even occurred in my life.
It happened.
But yeah,
it's funny.
Writing, I think it's so cool to have an outlet where you can create an entire world and storytell, which is very akin to acting as well. I have such a deep respect for writers though, because you need a work ethic like no other. I'm sure. Like for instance, I had a script idea come to me during the course of the pandemic.
Nice.
And I've gone as far as writing an outline of like a bunch of different scene ideas.
Great start.
But I for whatever reason, I'm just like, I just start binge watching shows and I'm like, oh yeah, that little hobby that I want to explore is not happening. But I do think I want to explore writing more. So I would say writer. That or a producer, but I honestly do not understand yet how people come to be producers.
How that happens.
Other than like having money, which I like. I don't. I would love to at some point be in the rooms. that would be a dream.
That would be awesome.
Because they get the control, and that's one thing as an actor that you really, really don't have.
You don't get
that.
You
do not have any control.
So you could produce your own thing that you write someday.
Yeah, but the thing that's funny is when I was coming up with this idea for a script, I don't even have myself in mind. I have someone else in mind to lead this.
Oh, cool.
So, which I'm amazed by people that can write, direct, star, because that's a lot of hats. That's a lot of hats.
So many. It's all the hats all at once.
It's all the hats. And
I can't imagine how busy they'd be.
I've seen Glenn direct and act.
Sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You are like watching someone's brain do backflips.
Yep, for sure. Insane. So I've got the next question. What profession would you not like to do?
I would never like to be a cop.
No.
So let's go with cop.
Yeah, for so many reasons.
Have anything to do with the police.
Yuck. Ugh.
Yeah.
Last question on this one. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Never mind.
I love it. Never mind.
but not in a, like you're going to hell.
Sure.
Never mind. I've made a mistake. Like,
that's so funny.
In like a real good place kind of like way.
For sure.
But like, oops, I didn't mean to. And then like,
wasn't right.
I'll go back to doing whatever it was that I was doing.
For sure. Oh, that's amazing.
I have one more story, and then I'm gonna go back. This is gonna be the longest podcast of all time, but
it might be, but that's okay.
This involves heaven and extra work.
Sure.
I actually got to do extra work on This Is the End in the Party in Heaven scene.
Nice.
And I wish I would have brought that up hours ago, because that was one of the extra work days that I will absolutely remember for the rest of my life. And if heaven is anything like that, I would not say never mind. That was pretty fun.
Pretty
that
awesome.
Was a party.
Oh yeah. God, I gotta watch that again.
If it's not, if you watch it, I am visible. If you know, like, oh, I'm gonna be looking for Marisa Baram.
Yeah, sure.
I'm behind Craig Robinson and the Backstreet Boys.
Really?
Real fun.
Well, that's amazing. I have to definitely watch at least that scene again.
It's definitely one of the most fun days on set I've ever had. Like,
that's amazing. There's so many people in that movie. Good grief.
So many
All the people were in that movie.
Yep.
Well, you did really well on those questions. I appreciate you doing the James Lipton questions. So one last thing I want to ask you about is where can the listeners find you on socials? What do you want to plug? Your socials, Twitter, Instagram?
So the two ones that I really do are Instagram and Twitter. I'm still not yet on the other ones, but if I do end up on TikTok, it'll probably be the same handle.
Sure.
It's my first and last name at Marisa Baram, one S, so Marisa, and then B as in boy, ARAM.
There we go.
And that's for Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, feel free to follow me.
Give her a follow.
I definitely have not the largest of follower counts. So
sure. Let's get those numbers up.
Me, please do. The more the merrier.
Yeah. Well, Marisa Baram, it's been an absolute joy talking to you. I want to thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you so much. It's been great to
it was so fun.
I
can't wait to go through and put it all together and put it out put it out for the masses to hear. So I really appreciate it. Thank you again. And I cannot stress this enough, cannot wait to see season 4 of AP Bio coming out sometime this fall.
I hope it's soon because really the world needs it. It's so funny. I can't wait for you to see it.
Super excited.
I can't wait to see it.
Yes.
Can't wait for everybody to see it. It's going to be such a good time.
Awesome. Looking forward to it so much. Thanks once again. I hope you take care of yourself. Be safe.
You too.
And,
you too.
Talk to you hopefully soon.
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Here we are. Well, that was fun.
I'm so sorry this ended up being so long.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. My wife is probably like, what? Did you talk to another person too?
Oh, no.
That's so funny. No, it's all good. It's all good. No, you had great stories and certain questions spark different memories and stories. And that's the organic way a podcast goes, you know?
Also, the plan was not initially to smoke at the start of this. I do think
that might have something to do with it.
That might have had something to do with it.
For sure. That's okay.
But thank you so much.
Yes,
and thank you for letting me ramble on things I did.
Thank you for coming on to do that.
Because this is my first time really having a whole podcast.
It's amazing. I didn't want to ask that during the interview because I didn't want to like embarrass you if it's like, oh no, I haven't done them before. You know, you sound like a pro, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to like throw any shade or anything. It's just like, if you ask someone a question, like that might be awkward for the interviewee, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to make it awkward. If it would have been awkward, it probably wouldn't have been, but.
If anything, it might have just made me nervous for a second, but
sure.
I thank you so much. Cause
of course.
I've had a couple of other like podcast requests, but beyond being busy trying to like catch up with life,
right?
I really do get nervous. Yeah. I don't know if like any other guests like
seriously couldn't tell. Not at all. No.
Oh, good,
you did awesome. Good. No, you're really good. You like I was saying before, it'd be super awkward if you just were like short answers that you just kind of climb up after them. That doesn't make for a good podcast or interview. So you did a great job. So
thank you, and thank you so much for like seriously such an amazing intro. Like thank you.
No, you're welcome.
That's also something about the show that I didn't talk about this, but the people that do know that I started as an extra, I feel like they might not know that I actually came into this as an actor and have done other things. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Well, I can't wait to share it with people. And then when it comes out, you can share it with whoever and spread it out, spread the word. So.
Thank you so much and have a good rest of your day and dinner if you haven't had dinner yet.
Yes, you go eat some food. I already ate. I know it's your time. You probably missed dinner. So go get some food.
I will.
Pour yourself a drink.
I had a very late lunch, so I'm probably going to have a very late dinner.
Okay.
But
perfect.
It is hilarious to me that this went on so long because initially I was like, I had listened to Allison's and I was like, okay, there's no way that was going to be 2 hours.
So funny. Yeah, that's so great. No, it'll be great. I can't wait to share it with you, especially, and you can listen to yourself and know how awesome you were and all that stuff. So share it with your family and everybody else. So thank you again, Marissa. Take care. Go get some food, okay?
I will. And it was so great to meet you. Like,
nice to meet you too.
It really was. It's much different, like having a face versus like little icon.
Pen paling. Pen paling's fun too. You know.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, though.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Marissa.